the magician in the world of Doraemon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 526, Strange Items. Yu and Daisy wandered around after school, intending to find some props with the world's will, and then find a way to let Ling Feng practice magic weapons to help King Gaiu hide his identity. Finally, got paid off. After a carpet search, Yu and Daisy finally found the first gathering of the world's will. Great, I finally found it, but this thing doesn't seem like it can be carried around. Yu and Daisy stood in front of the bathtub in Shizuka's house and began to think about whether he should move this big guy away or not. If he took it away directly, it would feel a bit useless. He was not very interested in this thing. But if he didn't move it away, he would not have a prop in his hand, and he always felt unsafe in his heart. After thinking for a long time, Yu and Daisy still stretched out his sinful hands and pulled out the bathtub. The soul-devouring monument materialized beside him and winked at him. "Oh, I didn't expect you to be a gentleman. It seems that I have always misjudged you. Stop talking nonsense, you old man. If you have the ability, go find a prop that is easy to carry." You are still making sarcastic remarks beside me. It's too much. Yu and Daisy put the bathtub into his cloak and quickly left the crime scene. This matter is too embarrassing. If someone sees it, he will lose face for the rest of his life. This prop is just for insurance. I must find other suitable props. Yu and Daisy thought, while spreading his mental power to continue searching. Not long after, he found another prop with the will of the world, which was the microphone in Fat Tiger's house. Yu and Daisy quietly flew into Fat Tiger's room, where Fat Tiger was doing his homework. "Hey, it's classmate Yu. How come you have time to come to my house? Do you want to listen to my singing?" Fat Tiger was just teasing him casually, but unexpectedly Yu and Daisy nodded. "Yes, take out your microphone and sing a song." Fat Tiger was stunned for a moment, then took out his microphone. "Since classmate Yu has asked, then I will not be polite. Please enjoy it." Yu and Daisy silently used soul interference to deafen his ears, and then nodded expressionlessly. "Please come on, I will definitely listen to the end." A sound wave that was enough to make ghosts and gods retreat came out of Fat Tiger's mouth, and the whole building trembled because of his singing. Although his ears could no longer hear, he could still feel that the frequency and amplitude of the ground vibration had increased significantly, and his head began to buzz, which showed the power of this song. Really, it's only been a few days since he sang, and the power of this guy's voice has increased so much. Yu and Daisy sat on the ground, silently bearing the impact brought by Fat Tiger. This time, he listened to your song reluctantly, as a small compensation for the microphone he was about to take away. But less than a minute later, the door was suddenly opened roughly. "Fat Tiger, how many times have I told you not to sing?" Fat Tiger's mother grabbed his ear and said, "This will cause trouble to other neighbors. Why don't you understand?" Yu and Daisy looked at Fat Tiger, who was being taught by his mother, took the microphone expressionlessly, and walked past them. Fat Tiger's mother didn't know why, but let him go away, as if she didn't see Yu and Daisy. Fat Tiger helplessly watched his microphone go away from behind. His eyes gradually filled with despair. "That's my favorite microphone. Just wait, I will definitely get it back from you." Ouch, it hurts. Fat Tiger was forcibly taken away by his mother, and what greeted him was endless scolding. "Although this thing is better, I always feel that carrying a microphone with me is not a glorious thing." After walking out of the door, Yu and Daisy stuffed the microphone into his space. "Let's continue to look for other props." As he walked, he came to a luxurious villa, and the third prop appeared in the range of his induction. I knew that the third prop might be with him. Yu and Daisy shook his head and walked into the luxurious villa. "Student Yu, why are you here?" "I have to go to the cram school later." When Ziofu saw him, he told him directly why he didn't have time to receive him. "It's okay. Can you give me the handkerchief in your bag? How about I give it to you?" Yu and Daisy took out a souvenir he bought before and put it in front of him. Ziofu took a look and rejected him. "No, this thing is too cheap." "Huh? What did you say?" "Mine is too cheap." Yu and Daisy couldn't believe his ears. This is a souvenir bought in France, a few thousand yen, okay. It's more than enough to exchange for your handkerchief. So he hugged his neck directly. What did you just say? My ears are a little hard of hearing. I didn't hear clearly. Ziofu's hair stood up. This familiar momentum, this kind tone, did you learn it from Fat Tiger? He immediately changed his words. You misunderstood. I mean such a cheap handkerchief. It's okay to give it to you directly. Really? Thank you so much. Gian and Daisy took his handkerchief with a smile and gave him his own handkerchief printed with French. Looking at Yu and Daisy's gradually receding back, Ziofu took a look at the thing in his hand, his eyes full of confusion. He came to his house just to change a handkerchief. Could this guy have some special hobby? Ziofu shuddered when he thought of this, and at the same time he began to sympathize with Chumushin. This child is so pitiful that he actually lives in the same room with him. On the way back, Yu and Daisy kept playing with his handkerchief. If you don't want to change, just say it directly. I'm not unreasonable. Who told you to be so rude? You deserve it. After getting the props he wanted, his mood was obviously much better. At least King Guy's identity would be fine for a while. On the way home, he passed by Nobita's house. On a whim, he released his mental power to carefully check his house. Sure enough, in Nobita's warehouse, he found a prop with the world's will, so he jumped over. The props in Nobita's house are actually in the warehouse. Then it will be much more convenient for me to take this prop. He used his spatial law to directly enter the warehouse and took out the item containing the world's will. But when he saw this thing, he was stunned. This tumbler seems to be the relic of Nobita's grandmother. Now the thing containing the world's will in his hand is a red tumbler that has lost some paint and is damaged. This thing, although I don't know whether Nobita's grandmother exists in this world, I'll keep it for him. He thought again and finally put the tumbler back to its original place. The meaning of this thing is too important, and he can't take it away. After returning to the room, Yu and Daisy took out all three things. These are the harvest this time. Okay, now let me draw their world will onto the handkerchief. The soul-devouring monument took the things away. After a while, the bathtub and the microphone turned into dust, leaving only the handkerchief still floating in the air. Yu and Daisy took the handkerchief, looked at the strange patterns and will on it, and whispered, "Is this the amulet of King Guy's future identity?" Chapter 527 Story. Only my personal opinion. At night, Yu and Daisy looked at the stars on his roof, thinking about how he should deal with the powerful god clan. King Guy's identity is not a problem for the time being, but their future is still confused. Old man, why can't the god clan and the demon clan coexist? Why is there an irreconcilable hatred between you? Ling Feng's spirit floated out of his sea of consciousness. You are now strong enough to tell you. By the way, call King Gyu up as well. A spiritual force was released, and King Gyu, who was still on the bed, was pulled up and sat next to them. The soul-devouring monument stood in front of them. As he began to recall, the ancient scroll unfolded before their eyes. Many years ago, our demon race was conceived and born by heaven and earth. Together with humans, we were considered the first intelligent creatures. At that time, humans were no less powerful than our demon race. Their physical strength and cultivation talents were almost the same as ours. Moreover, they were very smart. Some of them would cultivate their bodies, while others would use their innate natural affinity to seek help from nature. That is, the magic power you cultivate also evolved from this. At that time, humans and all the other races lived in harmony on this land. It was the best period. However, this peace did not last long. Because of the continuous birth of strong people, wars between all races continued. Finally one day, the first civil war among all living beings broke out. Too many strong people died in that battle, and each of them was stronger than the few self-proclaimed gods you met last time. Moreover, the natural forces were too chaotic during the war, which also brought huge natural disasters. The flood washed away the entire continent, cleansing the creatures on the ground with blood. After the natural disaster, most of the old human race moved to the heavenly palace to live. The winners of the war, my creators Junfei and Gian, officially unified the demon race, and the uncrowned emperor became the real demon emperor, known as the Heavenly Emperor. From then on, the only creatures left on Earth were the Wu clan, who combined the turbid air of the five element of chaos, and the creatures who were defeated and unwilling to enter the heaven, or the demon beasts who had lost their minds. The main battlefield, the human world, was completely turned into a wasteland, and even lost more than 50% of the land. The picture on the scroll also turned into a purgatory-like scene, with floods, droughts, lightning, hurricanes and other natural disasters constantly raging on the earth. In such a horrible environment, let alone where people can live, even the insects that can be seen everywhere are on the verge of extinction. Later, Noah, the saint of the demon race, comprehended the way of heaven and successfully broke through the boundaries of life. The element on the ground had also subsided, but at this time, the human world was devastated and all living things were extinct. In order to make the land glow with vitality, Noah mixed her own blood into the soil, and with this mixture, she created a new human race. The new humans adapted much faster than they imagined, and in just 100 years the earth had prospered again. But the new humans' bodies were very fragile. In this process, in order to fight against the unintelligent demon beasts, humans also began to seek the power of nature, and thereby developed a variety of cultivation methods such as Taoism, magic, physical cultivation, and spiritual cultivation. In short, the new human race began to take root and sprout in this ancient land. The picture on the scroll changed again, gradually changing from dry soil to fertile land planted with grains. This was originally a good thing, but some of the old humans living in the heavenly palace gradually became ambitious and were not willing to be inferior to others. At this time, the land below had recovered its vitality, and they wanted to seize more resources, a wider living land, and a supreme living status for themselves. So, they raised their butcher knives against the new humans. In the scroll, a group of people descended from the sky, holding sharp weapons, and slashed at the people who were working the land below. At that time, humans were still in their infancy, and were no match for those old humans. 1/5 of the entire tribe was slaughtered in a very short period of time. And they also built ancestral halls on the ground, to collect the faith of all living beings. The demon saint Noah, who finally created the new humans, couldn't help but stand up and confront the other side's god lord, asking him to leave. The result was obvious, and the old humans, who were worshipped as gods by the new humans, naturally could not agree, so the god lord and Noah agreed to fight in space at that time. The scroll became blank at this time. The scene at that time could not be recorded and could only be passed down from generation to generation. The Lord God is also a powerful being who has transcended the boundaries of life and created a big world, but Noah was even more powerful at that time. Not only did she successfully enter the Dao of life, her physical fitness was also strengthened by the power of merit, which was also far beyond our imagination, and her strength was extraordinary. In the end, the Lord God was defeated, and a small planet thrown by Noah shattered the big world, and her body was severely injured. She also used the Samsara seal to send him into reincarnation, hoping that the endless reincarnation would erase his memory, make him lose his true spirit bit by bit, and eventually die. Noah's victory should have been the beginning of peace between the demon race and the human race, but these things were ruined by the demon race's subordinates. At that time, the new human race suffered from the invasion of demon beasts, and they had no good feelings towards the demon race. In addition, many demons regarded themselves as heroes, so they constantly exploited the human race and used them as food. These unrestrained subordinates eventually became the fuse for the war between the two. Speaking of which, this is also due to the Demon King's poor supervision. Forget it, it's too late to say these things now. The soul-eating monument also sighed when it said this. If his master Junfei had been able to properly control his subordinates, he might not have died in the end. I have said before that the adaptability of the new humans is far beyond their imagination, and in fact, the same is true for their learning ability. They greedily absorb the knowledge of the gods and monsters, and the speed of development exceeds the expectations of all races. Only 50 years have passed, and the first person who can be called a saint has appeared among the human race, Fuxi. The scroll now has another picture, a man in a fur coat standing in front of Noah, and the two are confronting each other. After Fuxi was promoted, he immediately asked the demons to take care of their subordinates who had awakened their intelligence, and not to harass them again. The Demon King also agreed and asked his subordinates to be a little more restrained. Not long after, the second demon saint, Xiling, appeared. The demons celebrated, and the subordinates who had finally restrained themselves became unbridled again. But what we didn't expect was that only 3 years later, 2 new human races advanced to saints in succession, Yandi and Huandi. Apart from the innate saint who had long since stopped caring about worldly affairs and lived in the 9 heavens, from that moment on, the new human race had the strength to have an equal dialogue with the demons. At this point, the soul-devouring monument was a little lonely. The learning ability of the new human race really hit them hard. Less than 100 years after the First Holy War, 3 people broke through the restrictions and became saints. And for the endless years of their demon race, there were only 2 saints to support them. After that, the demons restrained themselves, but the hatred would not disappear. It would only take root in their hearts and slowly sprout. The human race killed many demons, and the demons also devoured the human race. The two have a long-standing grudge that cannot be resolved in a few words. The Demon King also discovered this, so he has been trying to find a solution, but he failed. The hatred between the 2 sides grew deeper and deeper, and in the end they had completely turned from allies to enemies. The soul-devouring monument paused and continued. At that time, the witch clan was powerful, and they were equally hostile to the demons living in the heavenly palace, and the war continued for years. The reason that ultimately led to the human race's participation in the war was the death of Junfei, the child of the then mortal leader of the human race, Emperor Gian, with the shadow of the demon dragon king behind him. The human race also participated in the war against the demons. Chapter 528 Story Part 2, Only my personal opinion. At this moment, and as he suddenly stopped, the Junfei you mentioned, could it be that she has been filling the sea after her death? It seems that you still remember the story. Yes, she is Junfei, the daughter of Shening. The soul-devouring monument paused, and then said, after that, when the demon clan and the witch clan were fighting, the human race suddenly intervened, causing heavy losses to our side. At that time, the demon clan had 2 leaders, one was the demon emperor Junfei, and the other was Dijun. The 2 demon emperors had already bound their cultivation to the fate of the demon clan, and vowed to live and die with the demon clan. But Junfei disagreed with the people below doing so. He advocated that his subordinates avoid direct confrontation with the new human race, because their fate was already determined at that time. The decline of the demon clan in this world was an inevitable trend. It would be better to reduce the casualties of the demon clan. As long as they died, others would not kill them all. The 2 sides argued endlessly, and finally they decided to respect everyone's opinions and let them choose who to leave with. Most of the demon warriors chose to stay, because they could not bear to be trampled under the feet of those witches and humans, and fled in disgrace. And most civilians hated peace even more. They chose to lay down their weapons and hide in the deep mountains and forests. And as he suddenly interrupted him, you monsters are too tolerant, aren't you? There are actually people who surrendered. It's not entirely because of the desire for peace. The way of the world has changed. The world's environment has gradually become unsuitable for the survival of monsters. Instead, it tends to favor humans who are rooted in the earth. At that time, the new human race had replaced the monsters and became the new dwelling of the world's will. That's why Junfei let some monsters choose to surrender and try to preserve their bloodline. With the support of the world's luck, Lady Nuwa expressed a wait-and-see attitude for the better continuation of the monster race, but this actually showed her support for the master. The warriors followed the 2 monster kings to continue fighting. They wanted to maintain the glory of their bloodline and fight to death. But under the general trend of the world's will, the result of this war that concerns the survival of the race is already very obvious. Lord Monster King knew that he didn't have much time left, so he forged the inheritance artifact in advance in order to protect the last bloodline of his monster race in the world. And as he pointed at the soul-devouring monument, so, this is your origin? The soul-devouring monument nodded. Yes, I exist so that the inheritance of the demon race can continue. Then I have another question. Since you are the inheritor of the demon race, why did you choose me, a human? You will know this question if you continue to listen. After that, the Demon King forged the inheritance magic weapon, forcibly refined his blood and ki to restore his peak state, and together with Gian, he faced the final battle of the 12 ancestral witches. In the end, he was defeated and died, and a generation of legends fell. By the way, since the demon race and the human race are at war, then what about those saint level people? They are not just watching from the sidelines, are they? Yes, both the saints of the demon race and the saints of the human race are watching in the sky. And as he felt a little speechless, then what's the use of these saints for you two races? It's better not to have them, just to watch the show when a fight breaks out. You think too simply, the power of a saint, how can you imagine it? The soul-devouring monument shook his head helplessly. He had too little knowledge. If two saints attacked with all their strength on the surface of the earth, the impact would be far beyond the nuclear weapons you know. That's why the last battle between Noah and the God Lord had to take place in outer space. Do you understand? Okay, I understand. And as he clapped his hands and signaled the soul-devouring monument to continue telling the story of the past. So in order to maintain the stability of the planet, the saints handed over the decision of who would stay and who would go to the people below. The winner will stay on this planet and continue to reproduce, and the loser will either retreat to a dangerous place or die for the clan. After the defeat of the demon clan, the remaining remnants left the richest places and lived in dangerous places. Since then, the Second Holy War has been declared over. After saying this, the soul-devouring monument also sighed. This was really a past that he was very reluctant to mention. To a spirit, personally admitting the failure of his creator was simply a mental blow. Although the demon clan failed, the human race, remembering the old friendship, did not kill all the demon clan that insisted on staying here, but simply drove them into the deep mountains and old forests. So this is also the meaning of my being cast. I exist for those demon clans that are still defending their homes. In the nearly 1,000 years that followed, the demon clan and the human clan were in a period of peace. As long as the demon clan did not make any big noise, the human race would not bother to care about us. The soul-devouring monument sighed. I thought that our fragile peace would continue, but we overlooked one person. He was the old human leader who was thrown into reincarnation by Lady Nuwa, the God Lord. I don't know how he broke through the restrictions of the reincarnation seal, broke free from the endless reincarnation, and once again stood in front of the God clan. After nearly 100 years of recuperation and intelligence gathering, they brought their army and wanted to completely wipe out the remnants of Nuwa. Although the demon race has recovered some strength in the past 1,000 years, it is too insignificant in front of the saint-level gods. The demon race was forced into a desperate situation in a very short period of time, and I was powerless to do anything about it. I could only watch the demon race being slaughtered. When we all thought that the world had abandoned us, a saint suddenly appeared in front of us. At that time, the world began to change. Technology had slowly awakened, and even the world seemed to be accelerating this process. So the human saints also chose to leave, and the one who appeared in front of us was Hanjin, the last innate saint in the world at that time. There was no other way. I could only make a contract with him. He would help me repel the gods, but I must provide protection for the new human race in the future, restrain the demons from harassing the human race, and teach the method of cultivation to those who are destined. Then Hanjin shattered the world of the God Lord once again, reconstructed the reincarnation seal, sent the God Lord into reincarnation, and the remaining old human race was sent into the boundless void by Hanjin's power of heaven, and then Hanjin left the planet. Since then, I have been paying attention to the movements in the void to prevent the old human race, that is, the God race, from making a comeback. After telling this history, the soul-devouring monument sighed. The God race is bent on seeking revenge on the demon race, and then re-entering the human world, but the human world now is not as simple as they think. Terrible people come one after another. If the demon race is not their primary target, I want to watch them fly into the fire. And as he nodded to show that he understood, and there was a slight snoring sound next to him, the two looked back together and found that King Guy was sleeping soundly because he hated being preached to others and was very sleepy. The old man stretched out his hand. Dark Star Cloak, come here to me and turn it into something more handy. The cloak tacitly turned into a belt and fell on his hand, and then there was a cordial interaction between the old man and the child. Yu and Dazi silently watched King Gayu chasing from the roof to the bottom of the building, with a smile on his lips. If life could always be so easy. But unfortunately, letting go of hatred is never something that can be counted on one side. I can only be hostile to them for my own safety. Chapter 529. Doraemon is about to leave. At this time, Doraemon and Nobita were also on the roof. The blue fat man kept smiling at Nobita. After what happened this afternoon, he was in a very good mood. Nobita asked in confusion, "What's wrong, Doraemon? Why are you always smiling here? Is there any good news?" "Yes, I do have good news." Doraemon kept covering his mouth and laughing, looking at Nobita with happiness in his eyes. "What good news is it? Just tell me." Nobita kept begging him, trying to ask something. In the end, the blue fat man couldn't resist and smiled and took out an electronic photo album of the future. Okay, I'll tell you about it." He put the album in Nobita's hand, and a young wife was cleaning up a naughty child on it. But what caught Nobita's attention was that the child looked 70% similar to Nobita. Nobita pointed at the photo album tremblingly. "This woman who is teaching a child a lesson, could it be my wife?" Doraemon nodded. "Yes, and don't you think this wife looks familiar? Do you remember? This hairstyle, this appearance. Yes, it must be Shizuka." Nobita covered his head and began to change excitedly. "Yes, Nobita, among countless possibilities, you have grasped that path with your kindness, and now your future has begun to change. Great. Nobita jumped up excitedly. "I finally married Shizuka. My future life is no longer a tragedy." At this time, Yu and Dazi, who was sitting on his roof, picked his ears next to him. "Isn't it just that he married Shizuka in the future? What is there to be proud of?" After saying that, he stood up and planned to go back to the room through the window and have a good sleep. At this moment, he suddenly woke up. Wait, what did Nobita just say? His future has already married Shizuka? Then there was a feeling of weightlessness. Just now, he slipped and fell from the roof. Bang! A figure fell from the sky and hit the ground heavily, raising a lot of dust. At this time, Yu and Dazi had no time to care about the slight pain. That was not even an injury. His mind was full of what Nobita had just said. If Nobita finds out that he has married Shizuka, then does Doraemon have to prepare to return to the future? Yu and Dazi sat up from the ground and gently patted the dust on his body. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Could it be that Doraemon is really going to leave them? Although the robot is not reliable and often helps Nobita to make trouble for him and causes trouble for him when he has nothing to do, but he still can't bear to let it go. I wonder if Doraemon will come back here this time with the props left for Nobita like in the original book after he goes back. After all, this world is not the world he knows. Sometimes it will not follow the original book, and this incident is one of the events full of variables. Forget it. No matter what, I can't change this now. Let's solve my problem first. Yu and Dazi shook his head helplessly. He didn't even know how long he could protect his own life, let alone protect Nobita. Walking into the living room, King Gayu was still being whipped by love. Yu and Dazi walked over and grabbed King Gayu and threw him aside. "Okay, old man, you should let him go. After beating him for so long, he has to go back to practice as soon as possible." The old man reluctantly put back the dark star cloak, and King Gayu also breathed a sigh of relief, finally escaping this disaster. The next morning, Yu and Dazi and Imushan met on the way to school. They didn't say anything, but just walked side by side. Not long after, Shizuka ran over from the side. "Izuki, Ian, good morning." Ian and Daisy smiled back at her, and Izuki stretched out his hand to greet her. "Good morning. Have you read the book I gave you yesterday? Are you talking about the Cinderella story book?" "Of course I have finished reading it. It is such a touching story." Shizuka took out a fairy tale book from her pocket, and Izuki took it and put it in her school bag, and then discussed some of the plots in the story with her. Ian and Daisy was not interested in their touching story, so he just listened all the way and did not participate in the discussion. Seeing the two people chatting so happily, Ian and Daisy couldn't help but think, sometimes I really feel that Izuki and Shizuka are a good match. Then he shook his head helplessly. Why should he think about these things? Could he control the other party's marriage? Happy time is always short. And as he and his friend soon walked to the school gate, and the two stopped their topic. So, classmate Izuki, do you have time to rehearse the proposal scene with me this afternoon? I also want to experience that feeling once. She had always said before that she wanted to play a princess on stage, but due to various reasons, no prince could propose successfully. Of course, Izuki agreed, no problem. Let's meet at the open space after school, when I put my things away. And as he was shocked. He originally thought that there were no drama rehearsals recently, and Nobita would not be able to see that scene, but history could not be changed. But he soon calmed down. If he prevented Nobita from seeing this scene, would Doraemon not have to leave? He praised his idea. I'm really a genius. I just need to tie Nobita tightly in the room, so he will definitely not have the chance to see this scene. After making a plan, and as he was ready to talk to Nobita today, in order for Doraemon to stay, he must not let him leave the room. Anyway, he could just use the excuse of studying to hold Nobita back. As long as he went over and told his mother to help him with his homework, Nobita would definitely not be able to escape. Time passed quickly, and it was afternoon school time. The teacher stood on the podium and assigned homework. Students have performed very well recently, so there will be no homework today. Fuck you. And as he was below, so angry that he almost threw a book at the student in front of him. Was this teacher really going against him on purpose? I wanted to hold you back with homework, but I didn't expect that even the world is creating conveniences for you. But you guys underestimated me too much. And as he silently took out a pile of exercise books from the space next to him. Isn't it just a few exercises? Don't worry, I have plenty of homework here. After Nobita learned that there was no homework this afternoon, he immediately felt very happy. Today was so great. That's great. I don't have homework today, so I can have some fun. After I put my school bag down at home, I'll go to the open space to play with Fat Tiger and the others. As he was skipping and preparing to go home, a hand emitting a faint black mist grabbed him. Nobita, there is a special review task this afternoon. At this time, Shizuka also found Koyama, Izuki classmate. Don't forget our appointment this morning. See you in the open space later. Izuki also smiled and nodded to her. Don't worry, I will never break my promise. See you in the open space later. Chapter 530 cannot be changed. Nobita returned home with a sad face, with a pile of homework books in front of him, which he bought from nowhere, and next to him was the supervisor and as he. Let me go, classmate Gian. There is no homework today. Can't you let me have a good rest? It's not easy to have such a day. And as he shook his head firmly, don't forget, who refused my makeup class last time and got a 0 on the test? He stayed at home and had a good rest when he didn't have homework. He didn't have the mood to care about Nobita. If it weren't for this sudden situation, he would have practiced at home. Yes, I know. What you said is right. I will definitely work hard, okay? Under the coercion of a strong external force, Nobita finally picked up his pen and started to do the endless homework in front of him. He sighed in his heart. I know you don't want to waste time doing this, but for Doraemon, just bear with it. Then and as he put his mental power into the open space again, as long as these two people finish the exercise, I can pack up and leave. Who knew that Deki and Shizuka lingered in the open space for half an hour, and finally Deki left first on the grounds that he had to make dinner, and Shizuka had no reason to stay and left the open space after a while, and the world became peaceful. And as he also breathed a sigh of relief. Since the most critical plot had been missed, there was no need for him to stay. But at this moment, two extremely dangerous auras suddenly emerged from behind, making and as his hair stand up. He gave up packing and immediately became alert. Who is playing tricks behind me? Nobita or Doraemon? And as he turned his head and found that it was indeed Nobita and Doraemon behind him, but they were looking at and as he curiously. In their eyes, this guy seemed to have gone crazy and was yelling at the air. What's wrong, Gian? We didn't do anything. Nobita shook his head innocently, and Doraemon also chimed in. Yes, we really didn't do anything. It was said lightly, but and as his uneasiness became even stronger, because he did find that there was a very terrifying power in these two people that locked him. At this moment, he seemed to feel that it was difficult to breathe, as if the air actively refused his inhalation. The pencils, erasers and other items next to him had also been quietly aimed at him, as if they would be inserted into his body in the next moment. No, I can't stay here anymore. If I stay any longer, I will definitely be killed by that strange existence. And as he put away his things, and his body instantly disappeared from Nobita's room, and returned to the small house next to it. After entering this house, his feeling of being secretly locked disappeared, and his whole body relaxed. What on earth was that thing just now? And as he wiped the sweat from his forehead, after being targeted by him, I felt like the whole world was against me. Your feeling is correct. If you hadn't carved a formation to isolate the world's perception, you would still have this feeling now. The spirit of the soul-eating monument appeared in the air, because what has been locking onto you just now is the world itself. He was a little confused. This world itself? Why is it locking onto me? I haven't done anything against the will of heaven and earth. It's very simple. If I'm not mistaken, it must be you who disrupted the world's predetermined growth trajectory. And as he was even more confused, the world's growth trajectory? This broken world, does it still have the mind to formulate this thing? Yes. This world has been constantly improving, and the world will in Nobita has been awakening. As for the robot, it should be the carrier of part of the will of that future world. The two worlds are also preparing to take the final step, and integrate into each other's bodies for final perfection, to become a new complete world. I said before, because of the wishes of all living beings, they must continue to move forward according to the original work in order to merge, but this matter was disrupted by you. Then if I'm hated, won't I be unable to go out from now on? And as he said, that he felt a little guilty. The sense of crisis just now was real. He just wanted to try to change the world, but he didn't expect that he would be killed because of it. This deal was too bad. The soul-devouring monument comforted him. It shouldn't be. If they want to do it, then this world will not let you return home easily. If I'm not mistaken, they should be thinking of your many contributions to their awakening, so this time they are just giving you a warning. That's great. He sat down on the ground. I thought I couldn't leave home from now on. The soul-devouring monument also floated back to and as his sea of consciousness. After analyzing the situation, he had to continue to absorb mental power to restore his strength. Now and as his mental power has reached level 4, which is a delicious ration for him. So he discussed with and Dazki, and supplied a portion of mental power to the soul-devouring monument every day. At this time, King Ayu suddenly shouted downstairs, "Brother, there is no meat at home. Can you go to the mountain to catch some?" And as he shook his head, "Forget it, your brother is hiding now, so you can only trouble yourself this time." Nobita and the others watched and as he leave, a little puzzled. Is this his magic? It seems that he knows a lot of magic. I thought he could only use his fists. Doraemon said that he was not sure. Forget it, and as he has left, Doraemon hurry up, and take out the anywhere door. I want to go to the open space, to play with them now. Nobita stretched out his hand, and looked at the blue fat man with expectation, and he also cooperated, by reaching into his pocket, ready to take out the anywhere door, to send him to the open space. Anyway, there is no homework today, and it is okay to agree to let Nobita go out to play occasionally. Okay, the anywhere door is here. Doraemon took out the anywhere door, and when the door was taken out, an electronic photo also fell out, and was grabbed by Doraemon. Strange, isn't this the electronic photo album I showed you before? How come it is put together with the anywhere door? It seems that I haven't been careful when packing props recently. Doraemon was about to put the photo from the future back into his pocket, and at this moment, he suddenly saw the album flashing wildly. Strange, why is this electronic photo album flashing? Is there something wrong with the props? Nobita also leaned over and teased with a smile. Is there something wrong with your cheap stuff again? It's really useless. But soon they couldn't laugh anymore, because in this album, Nobita's wife is Shizuka for a while, and then becomes a big and fat woman. Moreover, with his many years of experience, he can judge with certainty that this fat woman is definitely Fat Tiger's sister Zylezu. What's going on, Doraemon? Has my future changed again? Nobita looked at the pictures in the album in horror because his wife at that time was so beautiful that it was unbearable to look at it. He said to the blue fat man with an anxious look on his face, Doraemon, please explain to me what is going on. I'm not sure either, but judging from the situation, your future may have changed. Let's investigate what happened in the future. Doraemon reached into his pocket again. This time, I will use my latest prop, the time-lapse TV. As they talked, they adjusted the time on the time-lapse TV to the time when Nobita got engaged. Now the only deviation in the future of the world has returned to normal and will proceed according to the predetermined plan. Chapter 531 Happy Nobita. Through soul induction, seeing that Nobita still borrowed the time travel towel to go to the future to find Shizuka, and as he shook his head helplessly, the future is indeed unchangeable. Since all this is the plot that the world has arranged, as expected, when the two worlds are completely perfected, Doraemon should not come back. Well, Doraemon is gone, and my good days are over. Nobita will grow up alone sooner or later, and I must face my enemies. His figure suddenly disappeared in the room, and after a while, he sat cross-legged on the moon. Yes, after I have the law of space, the space transmission of the cloak has no delay. And as he stretched out his hand and clenched his fist, now he must get more power so that he will no longer kneel in front of the sun god. Old man, you said before that after the fusion of the law, there will be a space. How to engrave other laws on your own seal? Engrave another seal. The spirit of the soul-devouring monument floated out. You can no longer engrave seals, so you can only use other methods. Then tell me the specific plan quickly. You know we don't have much time. There is no specific method. The opportunity to engrave basic seals to help you get started quickly can only be done when there is no magic power. Now the only possibility is to comprehend it yourself. When you comprehend it enough, you can naturally engrave the law on the seal. He felt that this matter was a bit troublesome, because engraving the seal was equivalent to helping you take the most difficult step to get started, and if you actively comprehend the law, the difficulty will increase wildly. Moreover, this time it is the law of nature, one of the top few laws, and the difficulty of getting started can be imagined. In the absence of any opportunity, it is almost impossible to comprehend the law of nature out of thin air. Forget it. Since there is no hope of carving the laws now, I should quickly accumulate magic power and prepare to welcome the arrival of the gods. And if I really can't comprehend the laws of nature in the future, I also have other laws to choose from. It's better not to worry about this problem for the time being. After thinking it through, he immersed all his mind in extracting magic power to increase his foundation. After a magician reaches the 4th level, he no longer needs to carve new talismans. He only needs to have a high enough understanding of the laws until he is qualified to find his own way to successfully advance. However, there is no specific answer to the question of how high the understanding of the laws is required. You can only follow your intuition. When inspiration comes, it is the time to advance. Time passed unknowingly during the practice, and Nobita and Doraemon have also returned from the future. Doraemon, hurry up, let's go to Shizuka's house now. Nobita shouted to Doraemon anxiously, hurry up and take out the anywhere door. I can't wait to see her. Really, there's nothing I can do to you. Doraemon took out the anywhere door lovingly, then let's go quickly. After the anywhere door was opened, the familiar bathtub did not appear, but at the door of Shizuka's house, Nobita went forward and rang the doorbell. In fact, even if they entered Shizuka's house now, they would not be able to see anything, because the bathtub had been taken away by some unscrupulous magician, and Shizuka would not be able to take a bath these days. Shizuka, this is Nobita. Come out and open the door for me. Nobita knocked hard outside. After a while, Shizuka appeared in front of Nobita with a bitter face, because she couldn't take a bath since last night, and now she was very uncomfortable. The new bathtub will take a few days to arrive, so now she doesn't want to see anyone. Shizuka, who hasn't taken a bath, always feels that she is always dirty. After seeing that it was Nobita, Shizuka calmed down and said, "What's wrong, Nobita? Do you have something urgent to discuss with me?" "Shizuka, I promise you, I will make you happy." Nobita stepped forward and held her hand, saying a lot of strange words without any reason. Shizuka, who suddenly encountered this strange situation, didn't understand what Nobita said, so she was stunned on the spot, thinking about whether she should wash her hands before coming out. Nobita didn't know what Shizuka was thinking, and said seriously, "I promise I will work hard to make you happy." Shizuka looked at the tears in Nobita's eyes, and now she didn't know what to do. After a long time, Shizuka reacted and quickly pulled her hand out. She hadn't taken a shower since yesterday, and now she felt that she was very dirty, so she didn't want others to see her, let alone touch her. So Shizuka had to deal with it casually and quickly got away. "Really? If that's really the case, then you must work hard. I'm leaving first." Looking at Shizuka running back, Nobita felt that his heart stopped for a moment, and then beat wildly. Just now, Shizuka didn't reject him directly, but asked him to keep working hard. Does this count as an agreement? That's great. Doraemon, did you hear that? Nobita rushed out of the door and took the blue fat man's hand. "I will definitely work hard in the future to make Shizuka happy." Doraemon was also very happy. "That's great. In this way, your future will definitely be better." The two ran to the river hand in hand. Nobita said to Doraemon, "Doraemon, can you lend me a bamboo dragonfly?" He naturally would not refuse this small request. Soon Doraemon took out a bamboo dragonfly and handed it to Nobita. After taking the prop, Nobita did not rush to take off, but put his mouth on Doraemon's head. At this time, his voice was a little trembling because of excitement. I'm now, how to say. By the way, I'm super happy now. So happy that I want everyone to know it." As soon as the voice fell, Nobita started the bamboo dragonfly and flew into the sky, circling freely in the sky. He had waited for this day for too long. No one thought that he would marry Shizuka one day. Even someone as outstanding as Dekisugi still lost to him. How could he not be proud of this situation? Doraemon looked at Nobita from below and was happy for him. He had also waited for this day for too long. But at this moment of joy, a cold electronic sound broke his fantasy. System prompt: "Your mission has been completed. Please return to the future world within 48 hours. The power core made of Doraemon's machine suddenly trembled. The damage caused to him by this sentence was too great. "So my mission has been completed. Unknowingly, I have been here for almost a year." Doraemon reached out and turned off the prompt sound of his nose. "In this year, we have experienced a lot. In this year, they explored the African jungle together, went to the Mayan civilization, fought against dragons, and explored space. This year is the most unforgettable period since he was born. Although Fat Tiger and Sunia sometimes say too much, they will not back down at critical moments. In the future, Shizuka has become Nobita's bride and will spend the rest of her life with Nobita. Izuki has always been very good to Nobita, and so has Yu and Deiji, although sometimes he would bully him like Fat Tiger. He originally thought that he would stay here for a long time, so he went to find his girlfriend Xiaomi. He never thought that his separation from these friends would come so soon, and it would be unavoidable. Doraemon took out a group photo of everyone in the forest, in which he and Nobita had the happiest smiles together. He stroked Nobita's face in the photo with his chubby hands, letting his tears fall on the photo one by one. Why are happy times always so short? Sorry, I have to leave now. Chapter 532, Farewell Gift. When Yu and Daisy returned home, he suddenly found a guest in his house, and this person was the one he least wanted to see at the moment. "Doraemon, how come you have time to visit me? Aren't you afraid that your Nobita will be bullied again?" Yu and Daisy walked to the living room and sat down helplessly. He hated parting, especially the situation that he might never see him again. So if possible, he actually wanted to wait until Doraemon left before going out. But the other party had already come to the door, and he couldn't say he would avoid seeing him, so he just regarded it as a farewell for him. "Actually, I came here this time to ask you for something. Please don't refuse my request." "Is it about Nobita?" Yu and Daisy had already guessed the whole story. It should be that he was still worried about Nobita after he returned to the future. Although he has grown a lot, he is still far behind these people, and he still needs someone to take care of him. Among these people, the most reliable ones are Yu and Daisy and Dekishan, so coming to them can only be for this matter. Yes, For some reasons I have to go back to the future, and it is unlikely that I will be able to come back. After I leave, can you take care of Nobita for me? Yu and Daisy nodded. Of course, as long as I can do it. Really? Thank you so much. Then Doraemon began to take out his pocket, wanting to give Yu and Daisy a small souvenir from the future. You said before that you wanted a mini Dora, and now I can take the initiative to give you this little Dora, but there is no prop in the pocket of this mini Dora. Doraemon slowly took out a little Dora and placed it solemnly on the table. This prop, just consider it as a thank you gift for helping Nobita. I have changed it to energy saving mode. Ordinary sunlight is enough to keep it running, so there is no need to worry about energy issues. Thank you, I will definitely keep it well. Yu and Daisy took the robot. Although he got what he wanted, he didn't feel happy at all. Doraemon stood up. Then, I'll leave Nobita in your care from now on. If no one watches him as he grows up, I don't know what he will become. Tears flowed from his eyes, but he didn't notice it at all, and continued to talk about Nobita. He's actually quite smart, but he's lazy, and I haven't been able to change that for him. Although he sometimes takes my props to do bad things, he's kind-hearted, so you must be more patient. Fat Tiger and Sunia often bully him, but you shouldn't avenge him, but teach him how to resist. He's too cowardly, and it's okay for me to be by his side. If I leave, who else can take care of him like I do? Gian and Daisy took out a handkerchief to wipe his tears, and comforted him softly. Don't worry too much, Doraemon. Nobita is actually stronger than you think, so you should also reassure him, okay? Well, I will definitely not let him worry. Doraemon still cried non-stop. He could not forget the daily play and quarrels between Nobita and him, the experience of turning into stone with him, and who reached out and pulled him out of the abyss of despair when he was trapped in the energy ball. They could have more time for adventure. Why must they be separated by this damn robot system? After crying for a long time in Yu and Daz's room, Doraemon adjusted his mood. Sorry, I made you laugh. It's okay. I will take care of Nobita after you leave. Just leave with peace of mind. I will let him be strong on his own. Sorry for disturbing you. Doraemon said goodbye to Yu and Dazi, and Yu and Dazi and Mini Dora also watched him leave. Doraemon will be gone soon, and I can only use Mini Dora to remember him in the future, right? By the way, I can also let Nobita see it. Yu and Dazi picked up Mini Dora and began to examine the little robot carefully. Then he smiled. Although Doraemon said that he took away Mini Dora's props, he still has something on him. As he spoke, Yu and Dazi opened the pocket on Mini Dora's belly. Although the entrance is relatively small, the space inside is as vast as the main body. Dora. Mini Dora pulled the bag back with some dissatisfaction. Really, this robot is small, but his temper is really big. This is no wonder. After all, Mini Dora just left his master. It is normal for him to have a little temper. Yu and Dazi put him in his hand. You can go upstairs to rest. If you want to go out and play, remember to say hello. Mini Dora nodded, then went to the study upstairs to waiting for Yu and Dazi to need him. It usually comes in Doraemon's pocket like this, otherwise it will feel lonely if it stays awake all the time. Even a robot, although they can't speak, they have feelings. Yu and Dazi doesn't want to restrict these robots. It can also be their family. Finally it's over. Yu and Dazi stood up and looked at Nobita. Now that Doraemon's affairs are almost dealt with, I have to consider how to help Nobita stand up again. But these things are still early. Let's solve the problem of the stomach now. He quickly adjusted his mentality and knew clearly what he should do. Doraemon left, but his battle has just begun. At this time, King Ayu had already been busy in the kitchen, and Yu and Dazi also joined in cooking. Because he is now injured, beaten by Yu and Dazi and the old man, he still went back to help with these things. When sleeping, the soul-devouring monument still went up to chat with the flame servant as usual. You are here, so you must have noticed that this world has begun to change. According to the will of the sun god, I must tell him about this. The soul-devouring monument nodded. Tell him about this later. I believe that with his character, he will definitely try his best to prevent the fusion of the two worlds. The flame servant hesitated. Are you sure? Aren't you worried that he really controls this world and poses a threat to you? Don't worry, it's still unknown who will win by then. The soul-devouring monument has the same plan as the sun god. At that time, he also wants Yu and Dazi to control this world, destroy the plan of the Lord of Extinction to return, and finally directly destroy their god clan. I believe that the sun god must have a way to stop the process of self-improvement of the two worlds, and only he can do this. The child is too weak now, and I can't act recklessly in this world. Well, the sun god will know about this soon. I don't know how much progress he can make before he takes action against the child. The soul-devouring monument shook his head. This matter is indeed a very uncertain matter, because there are too many influencing factors. Let's take this matter one step at a time. By the way, how is the sun god injured now? How much of his strength has recovered? It's hard to say. The goddess of dawn and the goddess of night joined forces to inflict great damage on him. According to my estimation, he can only exert the ability of an early legendary level at best. The soul-eating monument also began to think about the future. In other words, he should not have most of his combat power now. Then the situation is not too bad. This time, he has prevented the merger of the worlds, and he will definitely be injured again. If I come to help, the sun god will definitely die. But he can't die now. The two faced each other in the sky, and finally the flame servant bowed to the soul-eating monument, and began to report the situation to the sun god. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 533 Hidden Dangers in the Back Mountain. The next morning, Yu and Dazi sat in his seat, watching Nobita spinning a pen with interest. This guy doesn't seem to know that Doraemon is about to leave, so I won't disturb his good mood. After the first class, Fat Tiger and the others squatted in the back, seemingly chatting about some interesting topics. Yu and Dazi walked over with some curiosity. Although he didn't care much about the things between these boys, he was still a little interested. Let me tell you, this is the golden beetle I found in the back mountain last time. Isn't it amazing? As usual, Sunia showed an envious expression. Wow, you are worthy of being Fat Tiger. You easily did what we can't do. Fat Tiger carefully held a small insect in his hand, and the shell on his back had a faint golden glow under the sun. Seeing so many people looking at him, the beetle couldn't help but flap its wings a few times to show its strength. TSK, Fat Tiger is really brave. He dares to go to the back mountain at this time. Yu and Dazi looked down on his boasting. He is really lucky. He didn't encounter those segmented insects raised by the soul-devouring monument. Those segmented insects have evolved to a terrifying level. People with strength below level 3 going in are simply looking for death. And according to the old man, the mother of the segmented insects is about to appear. At that time, this group of insects will only become more terrifying. Speaking of this, I think for everyone's safety, I still think of a way to buy the back mountain, otherwise it will be too dangerous. Yu and Dazi touched his chin in the back. You can ask Kodama Yoshio to help me do this. He believed that those people were talented in bargaining, and it would save a lot of money to let them do it. And his Gatling gun also needs to be refilled with bullets. It's time to go to him to buy equipment again. Nobita saw Shizuka and others surrounding Fat Tiger, and he was immediately unhappy again. That's my wife. So Nobita, who never admits defeat, stood beside them and patted his chest to assure them, isn't it just a bug? I can find a bunch of these things by just digging around in the back mountain. Those people were silent for a moment and then burst into laughter. Don't make fun of me, Nobita, these bugs are hard to find. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen a golden beetle like this. How can you find it easily? Sunia pointed at Nobita and mocked him mercilessly. Oh, is this thing so hard to find? And as he released his spiritual power to investigate the back mountain and found that there was really not a single one on the back mountain. Is this kid so lucky? And as he touched his nose, he suspected that he had a fake unicorn at home. Otherwise, why wasn't his luck so good? Nobita's face turned red due to their ridicule. HMPH, just wait for me. I'll go find a golden beetle after school. The scene calmed down again, and then Fat Tiger poked his chest with his finger and looked at him with contempt. "That's what you said. If you don't find it this afternoon, what are you going to do?" Nobita was so scared that he took a few steps back. He didn't know how to answer. Fat Tiger continued to press. "If you don't find it, how about you eat hollow noodles with your nose? I think this is a good idea. Eat hollow noodles with your nose. What a joke. Is that something that people can do? But think about it carefully. Fat Tiger can catch the golden beetle. Why can't I?" After a few seconds of struggle, Nobita decisively agreed. "Then we have a deal. What if I find the golden beetle?" Fat Tiger poked his chest with his thumb. "If you can find it, then I will let you beat me 10 times, and I will never resist or hold a grudge. How about it?" "Very good. I said it myself." Hearing this promise, Nobita no longer hesitated, rolled up his sleeves and said viciously, "Fat Tiger, just wait to be beaten by me. TSK, ignorant." Fat Tiger ignored Nobita's provocation at all, turned back to his seat, and slowly turned the pen. After school, Nobita went directly into the back mountain through a hole in the fence behind the school, and began to search for golden beetles. And as he also packed up his things and was about to go home to practice when he saw Nobita going into the back mountain. Nobita is really desperate, but this place is far from where we raise the segmented beetles, so it shouldn't be a problem, right? And as he thought for a while and was really worried, so he finally followed Nobita in. Let me make it clear first, I only followed because I promised Doraemon to take care of you, not because I'm worried about you or anything. And as he was hanging behind Nobita from a distance, through the exploration of his mental power, he knew that the outcome of this bet was already doomed, and he just wanted to confirm Nobita's safety. But this had nothing to do with him. As long as Nobita didn't encounter a deadly segmented beetle, he would never show up from behind to protect him. Just like Doraemon said, Nobita was too dependent on his props, so sometimes he didn't even have the idea of resisting, just waiting for Doraemon to avenge him. This time he wanted to make Nobita change all his bad habits. After searching aimlessly on the mountain for a while, Nobita still didn't find the golden beetle. Helplessly, he could only start searching in other directions. Really, where did Fat Tiger find this bug? Why can't I find the golden beetle here? Hearing this, and as he snorted in the back, because Fat Tiger caught the only golden beetle here, so you naturally can't find it. When he came to his senses, and as he suddenly found that the direction that Nobita was heading in a daze was indeed the direction where the segmented beetle was. Alas, I don't know how bad this kid's luck is. He really ran to the place where the segmented beetle is infested. And as he raised his foot helplessly, since Nobita was unwilling to give up, he had to follow suit. After all, the segmented beetle was raised by their family. If something happened, it would naturally be their fault. After reaching the 4th level of magic, you can't kill people casually, even pets, because it will damage your merits. If the merit is insufficient, the possibility of encountering troubles in cultivation will be greatly increased, and the possibility of breeding in a demons in the process of cultivation will also be greatly increased. Although it has the soul-devouring monument that can treat in a demons as food, there is still a hidden danger that is always worrying. Nobita searched the ground while moving forward. After a while, the ground became more humid, and even the vegetation on the ground changed. Strange, we have already run to the bamboo forest. Why are these bamboos white? There shouldn't be golden beetles here. I'd better change places quickly. Nobita stood up and turned to leave here. At this time, he finally noticed the strange friction sound around him. Nobita immediately became nervous. What animal sound was that just now? I seemed to hear something rubbing on the ground. Was it a snake? But when he reacted, it was too late. The ground suddenly raised dust, and a large number of blade-like limbs appeared out of thin air around him, slowly moving around him. Behind Nobita, a centipede-like mouth had already approached the back of his neck, and the breath exhaled carried a hint of soil fragrance. Nobita was frightened by this scene, and he was quietly feeling the breath coming from behind, with cold sweat dripping down his forehead. The segmented insect looked at this human, and he was now wondering if this strange shaped creature could be eaten. Moreover, the shape of this creature always reminded him of the two creatures that came and took away several companions from time to time, so he was a little hesitant, worried that he could not beat it. Chapter 534 Confession. A horrified scream pierced the sky, and Nobita jumped with all his might, and jumped out of the encirclement formed by the segmented insects in just one jump. Then Nobita didn't care about his superhuman behavior just now, and fled from the snow bamboo forest, and vowed never to come back. This guy is quite agile, he can jump so high, it seems that we have underestimated him before. And as he walked out of the dark, looking at Nobita's back, and couldn't help sighing. People can really burst out their potential in times of crisis. And the segmented insect saw that its prey showed weakness, and followed up without hesitation, wanting to make Nobita its dinner. Oh, you little bug, why are you chasing him for no reason? And as he grabbed its head, which was bigger than its body, with one hand, forget it, I'll take you back for dinner. Nobita swore that he had never burst out so fast before, and this time he was really scared by the monster. He found a corner to sit down. What should I do? I didn't expect there would be such a scary monster in the back mountain. I will never go back again. After sitting on the ground and resting for a long time, Nobita finally walked out of the shadow of the monster and then reluctantly walked towards his home. He would never go to the back mountain again. Even if he had to eat hollow noodles with his nose, he would never go to such a scary place. Forget it, since I have escaped from there, I'd better think about what I should do. Nobita thought while walking. It seems that I can only go to Doraemon now. Thinking of the person who always makes him feel at ease, Nobita couldn't help but smile. Although they would quarrel, they would definitely stand behind each other at the most critical moment. Doraemon, help me. Hurry up and take out the props that allow me to eat noodles with my nose. Nobita fell on Doraemon as soon as he entered the door. Doraemon, who had seen this situation many times, was naturally not too surprised. But when he habitually wanted to take out his pocket, his hand suddenly stopped. No, I can't be soft-hearted. I'm leaving, so I absolutely can't let Nobita rely on me so much anymore. So Doraemon withdrew his hand. No, why did you agree to something you can't do? Since you agreed, you have to bear the consequences. That's great, Doraemon, I knew it. What did you just say? Nobita also froze on the floor. What are you talking about, Doraemon? I've already promised someone. Can you just help me? Nobita began to beg on the floor. Normally at this time, Doraemon would definitely be soft-hearted and give him props. This trick is simply tried and tested. But what he didn't expect was that Doraemon still chose to refuse. Still no. This is something you agreed to yourself, not a promise I made. Why, Doraemon? Nobita stood up and looked straight at the robot in front of him. You were not like this before. The two stared at each other in the room for a long time, and the scene was extremely silent. Finally, Doraemon couldn't stand the pressure and yelled, "Idiot, because I won't be able to help you soon." He wanted to leave quietly tonight, but when he talked about this, he couldn't stop crying. I'm going back to the future soon, so I really can't be with you in the future. What did you say? Why do you want to go back? Is there anything wrong with my place? Tell me, can't I change everything? Nobita stretched out his hands to grab Doraemon's collar and shook his mechanical body hard. That was his last hope. Doraemon gave him confidence in life again, and he also regarded him as a close friend in his life. But Doraemon suddenly said that he was leaving. How could he accept this? If Doraemon left, what would be the meaning of his life? Doraemon, can you please not leave? I will never rely on your props again in the future. Just stay with me, okay? We are a family. Nobita's tears fell unconsciously, and he said these words he had never thought of in an almost pleading tone. Nobita, I don't want to go back either. Doraemon touched Nobita's head to comfort him. He felt very uncomfortable, but he had to comfort Nobita. At this moment, his nose suddenly glowed red. The program detected sensitive words. I don't want to go back. As soon as the voice fell, the high voltage electric shock device on the nose released its stored voltage and severely punished the robot that challenged the authority of the system. After a delay of a few tenths of a second, Doraemon felt the current stimulating every part of his body. Every metal surface was wailing, and Doraemon's consciousness as the main body was naturally even more painful. I know. I will return to the future within the time specified by the system. After saying that, the red light on the nose stopped, and Doraemon's body also exuded the smell of burnt wires. After all, he is an old robot who has been working for more than 10 years. How can he withstand such destruction? So he can only choose to compromise. Look, Nobita, if I don't go back, I'll never be able to go back. Doraemon barely stood up, stroked Nobita's head with his hand, and forced a smile. This time, we are really going to separate. Nobita knelt on the ground weakly, his face pale. Is there really no way? Can't we discuss it with Shizuka? Nobita, we are already separated. Don't be so sad, okay? I like the way you smile. Doraemon also sat in front of Nobita. When I'm about to leave, can you smile and say goodbye to me? Nobita didn't say anything and raised his head, trying his best to put a smile on his face, but there was no trace of vitality. Doraemon stretched out his hand to wipe away the tears that were still flowing from his face. Yes, this is like you. As long as you are willing to smile more, your fortune will get better. Then he stood up and took Nobita's hand. Let's go. Let's tell mom and dad about this now. Yeah. Nobita also stood up, took the initiative to wipe his tears with his hands, and walked out of the room with Doraemon. Since separation is inevitable, then before leaving, leave the best side to the other person and let him leave with peace of mind. And as he witnessed the whole process with his soul power outside, the process of the two people's separation reminded him of many past events in his previous life. Unfortunately, he couldn't change all this, whether it was his previous life, or Nobita and Doraemon. Thinking of this, and as he suddenly felt powerless. Until now, he still had no ability to stop all this from happening. In the end, he could only coil up the beetle on his shoulder. Forget it, since nothing can be changed, I'd better think of a way to let Doraemon leave with peace of mind. He walked into his house and put the beetle in the kitchen, said hello to King Gyu, and opened the door and rushed to Sunia's house. For some reasons, the world seemed to have deviated from the original plot, and he planned to make up for these omissions. Chapter 535 Fat Tiger and Nobita. At this time, Fat Tiger and Sunia were talking about Nobita at Sunia's house, and how to punish Nobita. As for letting Nobita eat noodles with his nose, they had never thought about it. After all, such a thing is not something a human would do, so it would be more practical to beat him up. Hey Fat Tiger, where on earth did you catch this golden beetle in the back mountain? Aren't you really afraid that Nobita will beat you up after catching it? Haha, Nobita is so stupid. How come you are as stupid as him? How could there be such a bug in the back mountain? Fat Tiger laughed happily. This was brought to me by my relative. There is no such bug in the back mountain at all. Nobita has lost from the beginning. But if Nobita can really find it, it doesn't matter if I let him beat him. Anyway, his fists have no power at all. I see. Fat Tiger, you are so smart. It seems that Nobita will definitely eat noodles with his nose. Haha. The two laughed wildly in the room, and behind them came a voice that was very discordant with the atmosphere. No wonder you dare to play such a big game. It turns out you have been prepared. Who is it? Fat Tiger and Sunia jumped off the sofa like a frightened bird. Someone was actually listening to them talking so close. After they landed, they found that Yu and Daisy had appeared behind them without knowing when, looking at them with interest. You two are bullying Nobita like this. Aren't you afraid that he will find a way to retaliate against you after knowing the truth? Hearing this, the two laughed again. Don't make fun of me. Even if Nobita knew about this, he would just keep it to himself. Yeah, at most he would ask Doraemon for some props. What else can he do? Sunia also chimed in. Anyway, Nobita has always been like this. And as he glanced at Sunia, then pulled out a photo from his cloak. Sunia, go to your room and do your homework right now, or I'll give this photo to your mother. TSK, what photo? You want to threaten this handsome guy? I know, I'll go back right away. When Sunia saw the content of the photo clearly, his face became extremely horrified, and then he ran back home. Damn it, he still has that photo? Sunia stood at the door of his house. He never thought that the guy who commanded the Dog King to bite people still had the photo. This bastard is really relying on his good memory. He remembers the old things clearly. It's so hateful. Sunya stamped the ground angrily at the door and then walked into the room helplessly. He knew Yuan as his character. If he didn't do it, then that guy would definitely put this photo in front of his mother, and then he would probably have no pocket money for the next 6 months. And as he put away the photo and looked at Fat Tiger, "Okay, now I have something to ask you." Nobita was looking at the sunset outside the window in his room. As long as he thought of Doraemon leaving, he couldn't concentrate on doing things, let alone doing homework, which was annoying. Doraemon stood beside him, still mumbling, "What if Fat Tiger bullies you after I leave? What if Sunya shows off again?" And Nobita listened silently beside him. This was their last time together, and he might not have the chance to listen to him again in the future. "By the way, I went to see you and Dazhi before I left. He is very capable. If you have any troubles, you can go directly to him." Doraemon finally finished explaining what he should explain, and he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing that he stopped talking, Nobita stood up and said, "Doraemon, I want to go outside for a walk." Seeing that he was in a bad mood, Doraemon immediately prepared to go with him, but was firmly rejected by Nobita. This time he wanted to be alone and quiet. At this time, Fat Tiger was sitting on a cement pipe in the open space with a plate of hollow noodles with ketchup. He was forced by Yu and Dazhi to stay here and wait for Nobita, who he regarded as a weak chicken, to come. Really, he actually wants me to force Nobita to eat noodles with his nose? He thinks too highly of Nobita. It would be more appropriate to do it directly. Now the development of things seems to be a little different from the original plot, so Yu and Dazhi deliberately arranged it to add a little resentment to Fat Tiger. If Nobita doesn't eat, then Fat Tiger will have a reason to fight him openly. So now the only purpose of Fat Tiger, who was forced to be here, was to fight with Nobita, not to let him eat noodles. But it's good this way. I can vent my anger on you. Fat Tiger moved his fingers, and he couldn't wait any longer. "Nobita, where are you? I really want to beat you up now." "Hey, Doraemon is leaving soon. How can I let him leave without worrying about him?" Nobita picked up the stone carelessly. Since Doraemon's departure was a foregone conclusion, the only thing he could do now was to make Doraemon stop worrying about him. This voice. It seems that Nobita is here. Fat Tiger jumped down from the cement pipe and clenched his only remaining hand into a fist. Although I don't know why Yu and Dazhi insisted on making him eat noodles. He made me stay here for so long. I have to settle this account. Just as Nobita walked out from the side of the open space, Fat Tiger suddenly shouted, "Stop right there, Nobita." Oh no. I forgot that Fat Tiger also wanted me to eat ramen with my nose. No, I have to escape from here quickly. Nobita's first reaction was to turn around and want to escape, but he suddenly stopped because he suddenly felt that this was a good opportunity. If I can face Fat Tiger normally instead of just running away, will Doraemon feel more at ease when he returns to the future? Thinking of this, Nobita immediately faced Fat Tiger. From now on, he has a reason not to retreat. In the past, he knew that he couldn't beat Fat Tiger, so he kept running away. But if he ran away today, he would no longer have the courage to face him and Doraemon. Come on, Fat Tiger. I will defeat you here today and let you know that I, Nobita, am not easy to mess with. Seeing that he did not run away as usual, Fat Tiger paused for a moment and then rushed to him at a faster speed. Damn Nobita, you didn't run away today. Well, you are brave. Fat Tiger put the hollow noodles in front of Nobita. Come on, do what you said now. Yu and Dazhi, who was on the field, saw it clearly from the roof in the distance. Now he also wanted to know whether Nobita would fight with Fat Tiger like in the original book. Chapter 536. Goodbye. Hey, are you kidding me? Yu and Dazhi watched Nobita reaching for the plate and was so excited that he almost stood up from the roof. Are you kidding me? Do you really want to eat it? Nobita took a piece of macaroni from the plate with his hand, slowly pointed it at his nostrils, and seemed to really want to inhale it. Not to mention Yu and Dazhi, even Fat Tiger next to him was shocked. Is this what a human would do? Is Nobita really going to be a non-human this time? Doraemon is right. Don't make promises that you can't do. Nobita said as he stuffed the noodles into his nostrils. But since I said it, I must do it. After that, Nobita took a deep breath with all his strength. This unstoppable momentum even shocked Yu and Dazhi. As the breath stopped, The noodles dipped in ketchup were half submerged, and then Nobita began to cough violently. The feeling of noodles blocking his nostrils was really unpleasant. Fat Tiger quickly bent his upper body and patted Nobita's back hard. "Hey, are you okay, Nobita?" From this moment on, his resentment just now disappeared without a trace. This man is a real warrior. He is so far behind an ideological awareness. At least Fat Tiger asked himself if he could eat noodles with his nose, and he didn't even have the courage. And as he couldn't sit still anymore, and quickly appeared beside Nobita, patting Nobita's back, and asking him to cough out what he had eaten bit by bit. Looking at Nobita's funny appearance with snot and tears flowing out, he didn't have the slightest thought of laughing, and even had some admiration in his heart. Nobita is worthy of being the seeking. He easily did what they couldn't do. Really? Look at what a lousy idea you came up with. Fat Tiger glared at Yu and Dazhi fiercely. It would be better if I could just beat him up. Yu and Dazhi glared back, not to be outdone. Stop talking nonsense. It was you who proposed this bet. Hurry up and take the picture. After coughing for a long time, Nobita finally coughed out all the noodles with ketchup mixed with snot, but he still felt very uncomfortable. The ketchup in his nasal cavity and trachea still made him cough non-stop, and even Yu and Dazhi had no good solution for this. All he could do was to keep taking out tissues to blow Nobita's nose in order to completely wash away the residue in his nasal cavity. Soon, the tissues had piled up into a small mountain, and Nobita's condition had almost recovered. At least he had no problem speaking. "Nobita, you're awesome this time." Fat Tiger's son dear nature kicked in. He picked up the plate and left chattering. "You've completed the bet this time. Just wait. I won't let you off so easily next time." Looking at his departing back, Nobita suddenly laughed. "Yu and Dazhi, you saw it. I really did it. I'm not a coward who can only talk but not do." "That's right. You're not a coward. Your future will definitely be very happy." Seeing him like this, Yu and Dazhi suddenly laughed. Although he didn't beat Fat Tiger away with his own strength as in the original book, this result doesn't seem bad. At this time, Yu and Dazhi's mental power had already sensed the arrival of Doraemon, and since his guardian had come, he didn't need to get involved. "I'll leave first. Doraemon will pick you up soon." He raised his hand and released a flame to destroy the remaining traces here. At this time, Nobita suddenly asked him, "Yu and Dazhi, do you think Doraemon can walk now with peace of mind?" "I think so. After all, you have worked so hard." Nobita, where are you? Mom asked you to go back for dinner. If you don't go back, she will be angry." Doraemon shouted his name while walking and headed straight for the open space, which was his favorite place to come. If he was not here, he would have to go to the back mountain to find Nobita. Nobita, what's wrong with you?" When he walked to the open space, he immediately saw Nobita, who was already half exhausted. Without thinking, he took out the medicine box. "Nobita, what's wrong with you? Did Fat Tiger bully you again?" Nobita raised his head and looked at Doraemon, and a smile suddenly appeared on his already embarrassed face. "Doraemon, I did it." "You did it? What did you do?" Doraemon was impressed and began to check his physical condition. "I successfully ate noodles with my nose. How about that? Am I awesome? Let me tell you." Fat Tiger and Yu and Dazhi were both shocked. Doraemon's working hand suddenly stopped. What did he just say? Eat noodles with your nose? Is this something a human would do? Are you serious? Doraemon looked at Nobita with a serious face. "Did you really do what you promised?" "Of course it's true. Yu and Dazhi and Fat Tiger saw it. You can go back without worry. I will never make these promises casually in the future. I know you won't always be with me, so I want to prove that I can do well even without your props. No, even the props of the future can't do this. So, Nobita, you are really awesome." Nobita looked at Doraemon's face and then suddenly laughed. "Doesn't that mean I'm better than you? That's great. Hahaha. Yes, Nobita, you are really awesome." Doraemon looked at Nobita laughing so happily and laughed with him. Yu and Dazhi could see clearly from a distance through his spiritual power, and the corners of his mouth could not help but rise. Maybe parting doesn't have to be so sad. At night, Doraemon looked at Nobita, who was still sleeping, and slowly put away his package. "Nobita, I'm going to the future, and we may not have the chance to meet again in the future. But don't worry, I have asked you and Daisuke. If you have anything, go to him. He is a trustworthy person and will not refuse your request. Doraemon wrote down what he wanted to say and put it in the drawer, then picked up the package and prepared to leave. A figure suddenly appeared by the window. Are you leaving like this? In the end, you didn't even say goodbye? Doraemon turned around and looked at you and Daisuke. I didn't expect you to come here, so Nobita will be in your hands in the future. You and Daisuke nodded. Don't worry, I promised you that I would take good care of him. After getting his promise, Doraemon nodded, turned around and prepared to leave. For some reason, you and Daisuke suddenly called him. Don't you want to leave him something to remember? What if he misses you? Doraemon didn't even turn his head. Forget it. Since I'm leaving, I should leave completely and erase my traces completely. He pointed to a small prop. This prop will slowly erase their memories of me so that he will completely forget about me. A robot. And even this little robot will self-destruct in a few months, leaving no trace. After saying that, he slowly jumped into the time machine and never looked back at Nobita. He was afraid that if he looked back, he would never be able to leave again. And as he waved to him, well, goodbye, Doraemon. Well, goodbye forever. A chubby hand stretched out and waved to him twice as a final farewell. Chapter 537. One day. Watch till the end. The next morning, Nobita suddenly woke up without anyone calling him. Doraemon, why didn't you call me? I'm going to be late. And Daisuke. When he woke up, he saw and Daisuke sitting next to him, holding an alarm clock to check the time. Hey, you woke up earlier than I thought. He put down the alarm clock. If you don't wake up in a few minutes, I'll call you. Nobita stared blankly at and Daisuke next to him. Why did his roommate become him? Isn't this Izuku's roommate? What's going on? Where's Doraemon? Nobita stood up, a little bit unbelievable about what happened today. Why are you here? I think you are confused in your sleep. What, Doraemon? I have always been the one living next to you. And as he stopped and looked back at him, is it because you ate noodles with your nose yesterday that you had a bad dream? Nobita was confused by this series of questions. Could it be that his Doraemon really never came and he just had a dream? Wait, I don't believe it. Obviously, Doraemon and I have done so many adventures. How could it be rejected because of your words? I don't admit it. Nobita pointed at and as his nose and yelled. He didn't want to believe that it was obviously a partner who lived and died with him, but it turned into a dream. Okay, since you insist so much. And as he spread his hands in front of him, then tell me, what adventures did you experience between you? Let me see what good dreams you had. He stretched out his hand to indicate that Nobita could give it his all now, as long as he could say one thing, he would lose. What did we experience? Nobita clearly felt that Doraemon was very important, but at this juncture he couldn't even say a word. This was the effect of the props that Doraemon left behind last night. The more Nobita missed Doraemon now, the faster he would forget him. Okay, I know you are upset that your dream was disturbed. And as he walked over and patted him on the shoulder, but life must go on, so get up and go to school quickly. If possible. And as he didn't want Nobita to forget Doraemon. But this was a decision made by Doraemon himself, and he chose to respect it. And if Nobita forgets Doraemon, it should be easier for him to get out of the days with Doraemon, right? Oh, yeah. Nobita nodded, always feeling that something was wrong. Was Doraemon really just a dream? But now he had no evidence to prove that what he said was right, and the round head was gone. So Nobita could only follow and Daisuke to wash up for the time being. And Daisuke, thank you for coming to wake Nobita up again. Nobita Mako brought out a bowl of porridge from below. Come down quickly for breakfast, everyone. Nobita ran to the first floor to wash up, while and Daisuke went to the restaurant and sat in the empty seat reserved by her mother. This seat was reserved for Doraemon by her mother, but she didn't expect Doraemon to have left, so it was just right for and Daisuke to come and wake Nobita up. Anyway, there was an extra pair of chopsticks. When Nobita returned to the restaurant, he still asked his mother, Mom, do you know about Doraemon? Doraemon, of course I do. Who is Doraemon? Mom wanted to say that she knew him, but suddenly she forgot everything. Nobita rushed to him. Mom, remember quickly, isn't Doraemon a robot living in my room? What are you talking about? Have we ever had a robot? Mom looked puzzled. The existing robots are so expensive, how could their family afford it? In front of the robot left by Doraemon, any memory of Doraemon will be erased one by one when it is remembered. Moreover, when she came, Yu and Daisy had already guided her mother, so her memory of Doraemon was almost gone. With the help of Nobita, she had completely forgotten about Doraemon and could not remember it anymore. I said you were dreaming. Yu and Daisy patted the chair next to him. You'd better sit down and have breakfast quickly. I don't want to be late with you. Nobita sat down with a confused look on his face. His memory of Doraemon seemed to be about to disappear. It felt like someone was using an eraser to erase the memory of Doraemon bit by bit. How is it possible? I clearly remember that Doraemon really existed. He looked at the seat next to him. He usually sits in this seat. He was suddenly stunned because there was still someone next to him, but it had been replaced by Yu and Daisuke, which made him even more confused. He picked up the bowl, still a little bit incredulous. How is it possible? Did I really remember it wrong? Nobita's current confusion was planned by Yu and Daisuke, all for the purpose of making him adapt to life without Doraemon faster. I'm sorry, Nobita. Yu and Daisuke put down the empty bowl. Although this is cruel to you, it may be the best choice when you are not ready to face separation. After you get used to it, I will find a way to return all your memories to you. After the two finished breakfast, Yu and Daisuke went back upstairs with Nobita. Okay, let's start from the window now. From the window? How is it possible? Are you also confused because of sleep? Nobita touched his head. He always felt a little incredible. Yu and Daisuke rolled his eyes at him. What's wrong with you today? You don't remember anything? He stretched out his hand and cast a magic on Nobita. Have you even forgotten that I'm a magician? After saying that, Nobita's body floated up, and Yu and Daisuke continued to explain. Do you remember? This magic is called Bamboo Dragonfly. We occasionally use this magic when we go to school. Bamboo Dragonfly. I seem to have some impression. Nobita always felt a strange sense of disobedience, but he did seem to remember that he should have used this magic before. This is also one of Yu and Daisuke's strategies. As long as he uses the same magic with a different name to confuse his vision and hearing, he can speed up his forgetting. What's wrong? Don't you even know how to control this magic? I remember you used to play it very well. Really? Then let me try it. Nobita's body habitually controlled the magic according to the method of controlling the Bamboo Dragonfly. Soon, he found that his body seemed to be really adapted to this magic, and it really seemed like he had used it many times. Have I really used it before? It feels very simple. Of course. Yu and Daisuke smiled. In this case, Nobita should be able to adapt to life without Doraemon soon, right? During the school day, other students had gradually forgotten the existence of Doraemon, so the day was very ordinary. After school in the afternoon, Yu and Daisuke and Nobita walked to the door with a box of milk, which was bought by Yu and Daisuke. Yu and classmate, can you help me with my lessons today? I think today's lessons are a bit difficult, and I need your help. He nodded. It was just homework. Nobita was no longer as useless as before, although tutoring him would still hurt his liver. The two walked into Nobita's room together, and a familiar voice came from inside. Nobita, you are finally back. I have been waiting for you here for a long time. Yu and Daisuke and Nobita looked at the blue fat man inside, and stopped thinking for several seconds. Why did Doraemon come back? A few seconds later, Yu and Daisuke was so shocked that he crushed the milk. Fuck you. It was like a life and death separation some time ago. I was originally thinking about how to help Nobita adapt to life, but you came back? You didn't even make it through a day. Chapter 538 Doraemon officially returns. What's going on? Why can you come back? This shouldn't happen. Yu and Daisuke walked up to them. Whether from the perspective of science or magic, this shouldn't happen. Originally, according to his prediction, the two worlds would completely merge and perfect the world rules to become a new world. At that time, the future world will no longer exist and will be transformed into the most essential energy and matter to reorganize into this world and become the real future. And this product may be born in a few hundred years, but the time tunnel will never exist again. Doraemon touched his head. It's because someone said he was a friend of Nobita's descendants and came to rewrite the program for me. Then he took out a small jade necklace and he asked me to bring a gift to Nobita. You must wear it all the time. Nobita took the necklace inexplicably and put it on his neck. My descendant's friend? Did I tell you the name? No, but is it important? Doraemon took Nobita's hand. As long as he can come back, the process is not important. Nobita also nodded. That's right, as long as you can come back to me. These are actually not important at all. Looking at the two people lingering, Yu and as he suddenly took out a lemon and started eating it beside him. Can you stop for a while? Hearing this, they both turned their heads and looked at Yu and Dazzy next to them. Why? Do you have something else to say to us? Yu and Dazzy shook his head. Yes, since you are back, then quickly remove your amnesia props, otherwise others will really forget you. Oh, yes, I almost forgot. The blue fat man stretched out his hand to take back the props on the roof. At this moment, Nobita's lost memory suddenly came back, and he finally remembered why he had a strange sense of disobedience. Okay, I won't bother you two anymore. After all, I have a child at home who needs my care. Yu and Dazzy said goodbye to them and left. Then he immediately asked Solita, what happened? Why did Doraemon suddenly come back? It's simple. An acquaintance intervened just now. Solita's body appeared a few hours ago. The sun god came here once. Yu and Dazzy bit his fingernails nervously. Did that guy come again? He didn't even notice it. What did he do here? Did he rewrite Doraemon's program? The necklace should also be given by him, right? There seems to be some strange patterns on it. What is its function? I said before that they carry the will of the world. As consciousness awakens and the world begins to perfect, they have to separate. And the sun god should have used all his strength to suppress the will of the two awakened worlds. And the necklace is a prop used to put the fragmented will of this world into a deep sleep. I know. But why did he do this? I remember you said he was injured, didn't you? I don't know the specific reason, but now he should have some reason not to let the world merge. The soul-devouring monument chose to conceal part of the truth from him temporarily. Now he has no reason to tell these things that he shouldn't know. But the good news is that the sun god's injury is more serious. In short, let's pay attention first. Later, that guy may send some people down to deal with some things for him, so you have to be careful. Yu and Dazzy nodded to show that he knew. He had been waiting for the war with the Protoss for a long time, and the two sides would fight sooner or later. It would also be a good thing for him to be able to weaken some of the Protoss power in advance. After returning home, he put away his things. Then Yu and Dazzy released his spiritual power and began to observe the town. By the way, I heard that someone was missing nearby today, and I always felt a little uneasy for no reason. Let's look for him carefully. Now his pure spiritual power can cover a range of 3 kilometers. Although it is not as good as Dekisugi, the range is definitely not small. After a while, he retracted his spiritual power. There is nothing abnormal here. Am I overthinking? The soul-devouring monument also agreed. It should be. He may have encountered a situation like human traffickers. It should not be done by a superpower. Yu and Dazzy agreed with this very much. Superpowers are not cabbages. How could it be such a coincidence that a child happened to meet one near them? That's right, I'd better accumulate my magic power as soon as possible. Instead of worrying about these things, it's better to improve myself. After thinking all this through, Yu and Dazzy left the room and rushed into the sky, where the power of nature was very abundant. In the Temple of the Void, the sun god returned here, holding his chest, with golden blood hanging from the corner of his mouth. What a hateful world, how dare you do this to the offspring of your creator. The sun god touched the corner of his mouth. I must master you, and then devour your consciousness bit by bit. He pushed open the main hall door with great effort. The place was still filled with parchments, which calmed the sun god's mood a lot. Forget it. Anyway, the wills of both worlds have been suppressed by me. At least there is no way to reintegrate them in a short time. Walking to the throne, the sun god sat on the throne of the god king and summoned his own god realm directory. The injury I suffered this time has worsened. I have to go and recuperate, and I need some spiritual medicine. He observed the god realm directory and finally locked his eyes on the blood god. This blood god I remember that it seemed to have suffered a relatively shallow injury in the ancient war of gods. Now it should be able to be used by me. Then it's decided to be you. In a remote and evil temple in the distance, a girl who seemed to be only 13 or 14 years old opened her eyes, and doubts flashed in her blood-red pupils. The interim Lord God, Lord Sun God, would actually choose to summon me at this time. It seems that he really has no choice this time. She walked out of the blood pool slowly. Not a drop of blood around her stained her skin, but it looked strangely beautiful. When her body completely left the blood pool, a blood-colored long skirt suddenly appeared on her body. It seems that it has been almost hundreds of years since the last time I took action. She danced her body in place to speed up her adaptation to this rusty body. While dancing, she could clearly hear the sound of her bones rubbing against each other, all because she had not moved for too long. After all, after resting for 1,000 years, it is not so easy to move again. Okay, let's stop here today. My mission is to find medicinal herbs that can accelerate the recovery of the origin. She touched her head in confusion. There are no worlds nearby. Do you want her to look for them in the void turbulence? What a joke. Is that a place where such good things can be produced? If the void turbulence can produce such good things, why should their clan linger until now? Wait, it seems that there is no need to go to the void turbulence. The world fragments nearby seem to have regained vitality. We can go and take a look. After reading the message from the sun god, she walked out of the temple holding a small red lace umbrella. Chapter 539 Jin Shanshan's invitation. Yu and as he sat on the cloud, looked at the old mechanical watch on his wrist, and was satisfied, and ready to go back. Since the last adventure in the demon realm, the natural power in the world has more than doubled, and my cultivation speed has also increased a lot. The last time the main world swallowed up the demon realm star, they also gained a lot of benefits from it, so he was looking forward to the next adventure. As long as the plot of the movie continues to unfold, his cultivation speed will continue to increase, which will make it possible to close the distance between him and the sun god in a short time. King Gyu, I'm back. Yu and as he looked at the empty room. What are you doing now? Why is no one responding to me? Don't argue. King Gyu is in the training room now, and he also found that his strength is too weak and needs to work hard. The soul-devouring monument appeared in front of him. You two, both of you have to become stronger. Yu and as he nodded. Now he didn't have much mental power left. After supplying some to the old man, it was almost time for him to rest. Very good, then I'll stop here today. I really hope there will be some surprises for me tomorrow. Yu and as he muttered as he walked towards his bedroom and prepared to go to bed. What he didn't expect was that there was really a surprise the next day, and it was brought to him by Sunia's cousin. Oh, what did you say? Your cousin is going to the villa on the island tomorrow, and you're going to invite us? Yu and as he and Dekisugi stood together, expressing some disbelief at this. An ordinary car should only be able to accommodate 4 passengers. Why not invite Fat Tiger and the others? Don't worry about this. My cousin recently changed to an extended luxury car, which can seat 5 passengers. Yu and as he counted the number of people. If there are 5 passengers, it means that Fat Tiger and Shizuka can also go, right? It seems that you have abandoned Nobita again. Sunia nodded. His cousin wanted to test the performance of the car after he changed it recently, and today is Friday, so he invited them to go and play for 2 days before coming back. Dazi and Zyashin discussed it with their mental power and nodded in agreement. Okay, when do we leave? Let's go back and prepare. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a long drive. After Ziofu explained the situation to them, he said goodbye to them. Nobita will definitely be envious now. Ziofu suddenly laughed. Take a few more photos, and then Nobita will be envious to death. Yu and Dazi and Zyashin separated at an intersection. Although the 2 families were not far away, there was still a fork in the road. Then I will go back to pack my things first, and you should hurry up too. Don't worry, I will keep my promise, and will never be late. After Yu and Dazi returned home, he used his mental power to pack up his spare clothes, and then took the drawing board and prepared to leave. King Gyu, I have to go out for 2 days for some things. During this time, you must maintain the operation of the magic circle, understand? Kingayu agreed in the practice room. I know. Remember to bring me some fun things back. Yeah, and as he nodded. Anyway, he was not really worried about the safety here. There is a unicorn with the strength of the 4th level here. With the amplification of the protective magic circle, it is not so easy to break it, right? At this moment, Yu and Dazi suddenly thought of the 2 times he had to go out for something. He seemed to have thought so too. Then he shook his head. It shouldn't be such a coincidence. The previous 2 times there were emergencies. This time there will definitely be no problem. And there are Kingayu and Ziozi with us, so there shouldn't be any problem. After comforting himself in his heart, he sat in the restaurant and began to enjoy the insect feast made by Kingayu. At this time, Nobita also walked to the phone and called Shizuka. He wanted to ask Shizuka to come over to do homework and play games together. Soon, Nobita grabbed the edge of the table in surprise and shouted, "What did you say? Sunia has invited you to the island villa for vacation? When did it happen? Why didn't I know? He told me this after school, and he also invited other classmates." Hearing this, Nobita hung up the phone angrily. From what Shizuka said, he knew that Fat Tiger and Shizuka must have been invited. Damn it, it's clearly a stretch sedan with 2 empty seats. Why don't you invite me over? No, I have to go ask Sunia. Thinking of this, Nobita walked out of the door. He didn't want to miss this trip to the island. His family doesn't usually have the conditions to go to the island. Now that he has this opportunity, he has to fight for it, even if he has to lose face. More than 10 minutes later, Nobita appeared at Sunia's door. "Sunia, can I talk to you about the trip to the island?" TSK, who did I think it was? It turned out to be Nobita. Sunia didn't take him seriously after opening the door, because everyone on this trip was already together. "I heard that you are going to the island today. Can you save a seat for me? I have been longing for the scenery of the island for a long time." Sunia opened his hand and said, "I know you don't usually have the opportunity to go to the island, but you told me too late this time. How is it possible? Don't your cousin's sports car still have 2 empty seats?" Nobita looked unconvinced. "You can kick him out, but you have to give him a reasonable reason. How can a stretched sports car be full of people?" Sunia glanced at him, then smiled sinisterly. Okay, I know you want to go to the island. How about this? I give you a chance." Nobita finally got excited. "Really? What chance?" "In fact, it is full, but when the 2 of them come later, you can go and negotiate with them. As long as someone is willing to exchange with you, then I will take you to the island villa." "Of course." Nobita nodded. He knew that Sunia was not popular in this small town, because he always loved to show off. So in his impression, Sunia must have no other invitations, and only these few good friends would agree to it. At this time, Yu and as he also arrived at the battlefield. "Sunia, I'm here. I shouldn't be late, right?" "Of course not. You are the first one." Sunia pushed Nobita away. As long as he had this guy, Fat Tiger would not dare to be presumptuous. Then he pointed at Nobita. "By the way, Nobita wanted to discuss with you just now. He hopes that one of you and Dekisugi can give up his seat to him." "What do you mean? Does he want to go too?" And as he walked over and looked at Nobita in confusion. "That's right. He also said that you 2 idiots will definitely beg to give up your seat to him." Sunia had a smirk on his face and made up unfounded facts. And as he didn't care at all. Looking at Sunia's expression, you can tell that this guy's definitely making up facts. But he still walked to Nobita and said, "Sorry, Sunia has already invited me and Dekisugi. Do you have any objection?" Nobita covered his mouth and shook his head frantically. Did he dare to have any objection? Then Yu and as he pointed to the door, "If you don't have any objection, go back quickly. What kind of thing is it for you to block other people's doorsteps all day long? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 540 Whose Yacht? After sending Nobita away, Yu and as he clapped his hands in satisfaction. He was not worried that Nobita would take his seat, because Nobita was not that brave. But he was worried that Dekisugi would give up his seat to him out of softness. so he had to ask him to leave. As for Nobita, Doraemon was back. Why should he sympathize with him? He believed that Nobita would definitely have more fun than them. Really, I clearly told Nobita that the car had no room, but he still pestered me. Thank you so much. Sunir also smiled and patted Yuan as his shoulder, then took him to the living room and took out his homework. Yuan, classmate, you know, you are really smart. Yuan, as he took out the exercise book from his pocket. Write quickly, it will be troublesome if Dekisugi sees it. Don't worry, I know Dekisugi's personality. Sunir took the exercise book with a smile and began to copy the weekend homework. And as he also picked up a comic book and read comics while drinking black tea next to him. His life was pretty good. A few minutes later, Sunir returned the copied exercise book to Yu and Daisuke. Thank you very much. He nodded and said nothing, put the exercise book back into his school bag, and continued to read comics while waiting for others to arrive. Sunir turned on the TV. Now that his homework was done, his mother had no excuse to stop him from playing. After a while, Sunir turned off the TV. Strange, why haven't Shizuka and the others come yet? He looked at the time. It's already 1:30. As soon as he finished speaking, the doorbell rang again, and Sunir quickly went to greet the guests. And as he put down the teacup calmly, he sensed through his mental power that the person who came this time was Dekisugi. It turned out to be Dekisugi. We have been waiting for you for a long time. Sunir took Dekisugi into the living room. Dekisugi pointed to the door of Sunir's house. Fat Tiger and Shizuka should be here too, just behind me. I know, you go in first. And as he has been here for a long time. Hearing this, Sunir gave up the idea of bringing him into the room. Anyway, it was not their first time here, and they were familiar with the situation in the house, so there was no need to deliberately send them in. After a while, the living room of Ziofu's house was already crowded with people. The new 5-member team gathered here to prepare to go to the island. Sorry to have kept you waiting. Today we are going to Zangba Island to play, and the person who will drive us is my cousin Aji. As soon as the voice fell, a man with a pointed mouth and blonde hair came out from the side and greeted everyone with a smile. And as he also put down the book in his hand and returned the gift to this cousin with everyone appearing to be more sociable. After all, they are the host and they still have to give face. Okay, I believe everyone can't wait any longer, right? Cousin Aji smiled and swung the keys. How about we set off now? I also want to see the performance of the new sports car. Of course. Everyone raised their hands happily, and Cousin Aji also turned around and led everyone to the garage. Okay, this is my Beexing 720 extended version sports car, a new product recently shipped from the factory. Doesn't it look good? The cousin swung the key to show off, enjoying the surprise from the back, which made him so happy. Anyway, there is nothing wrong with showing off with money, and they went to their own villa to play, so isn't it right to pay a little insignificant admiration? Okay, no more nonsense. After he had enjoyed the praise enough, Cousin Aji opened the car door. Then get in quickly, let's go. After getting in the car, they began a 4-hour car journey. The whole process was inevitably a bit boring for him as an adult. And as he yawned, forget it. Anyway, there is nothing to do during this period of time, so I might as well practice magic. The surrounding natural forces began to flow into his body, and he began to accumulate his foundation as a 4th level magician. While Chumushin was looking at the scenery outside the window, he chatted with his classmates and popularized the plants he encountered on the road. 4 hours later, Cousin Aji stopped his car at the beach. Okay, kids, we have arrived at our destination, and we are going to transfer to the yacht. And as he finally opened his eyes, this journey was indeed a bit long, and even the children had fallen asleep. After getting off the car, everyone saw 2 yachts parked by the river, one of which looked like a luxury ship, and the other was an ordinary yacht. Ziofu took them to the luxurious ship without thinking. This is our private yacht. How about it? Isn't it cool? Cousin Aji looked at the luxury yacht. His face was a little embarrassed, and he gently pulled Ziofu. You are wrong. That one is ours. Cousin Aji pointed to a very ordinary small boat next to it, which was simply rubbish compared to the luxury yacht next to it. How is it possible? The photo here is clearly that luxury yacht. Sunia took out a photo. Look, it's exactly the same as this one. Kusanagi helplessly pointed to a corner next to the cruise ship. You're looking wrong. This is ours. What? You're going too far, aren't you? Sunia looked at the small boat next to him that only took up 1/5 of the corner, and his expression gradually collapsed. In the end, he still took out the photo helplessly. Sorry, everyone. This ship is. Wait, our ship is not this one. Fat Tiger, Shizuka, Dekisugi, and Yu and Dazi had already run onto the luxury yacht before they could hear this. Oh no, the owner of that yacht is not someone you can easily mess with. Kusanagi immediately waved his hand, wanting to call them back. But he was too late. Yu and Dazi and others had already boarded the yacht and met the security guards who stayed on it. What's wrong with you kids? Get down quickly, or we won't be polite. Fat Tiger touched his head and looked at the security guard. What's going on? Isn't this Sunia's yacht? What Sunia? This yacht is the exclusive vehicle of the president of the Inagora Association. The security guard stepped forward and prepared to pick them up and send them down. Since the last time their president met the two childlike yin and yang masters, these people have become more gentle to children. At least they won't say bad things to them, for fear that they will die inexplicably. Inagora Association? Why are you here again? Yu and Dazi stood up. Is your president called Kodama Yoshio? We are old friends. The security guard's movements froze for a moment. Their president is indeed named this. It can't be such a coincidence, right? Sorry, kid, can you tell me your name? The security guard looked at the overconfident kid. We need to ask our superiors. Yu and Dazi stretched his waist. My name is Yu and Dazi. Someone in your senior management should know me. The security guard picked up the phone and dialed a few numbers. After a while, he changed to a smile to face them. Little Yuan, right? Don't worry, our president has told us to serve you like he does. Where are you going? To Zangbar Island in the middle. That should be fine, right? The security guard bowed with a smile. Don't worry, the boat will arrive in just half an hour. Chapter 541 A Strange Feeling. At this time, Kusanagi finally came to the yacht. When he saw the strong security guards, his face changed instantly, and he apologized repeatedly. I'm really sorry, I didn't take good care of these children before. Please don't argue with these children. And as he pointed at the security guard and pretended to be innocent and said, really? But this security uncle promised us to take us to Zangbar Island. The scene was strangely quiet for a while because Kusanagi didn't understand why the attitudes of these security guards changed so quickly. When did the underworld become so helpful? Yes, guest. The security guard ran over and pulled him onto the boat. Please wait here for a moment. We are about to set off for Zangbar Island. You can also drive your car up. We have a special driveway and warehouse here. Oh, really? Kusanagi touched his head. Thank you very much. Sorry to trouble you. Ziofu and others were confused in the back. What happened? And as he just said his name, and the other side gave up. However, they quickly accepted this setting. And classmate, you are really amazing. We can actually make a luxury yacht. Yes, I have been looking forward to it for a long time. Shizuka stood at the bow and gently took off her hairband. She now hopes that she can be like the protagonist of Titanic, with a handsome and elegant man coming from behind and putting a windbreaker on her. Of course, if there is a priceless diamond in the pocket of the windbreaker, it will be even better. Fat Tiger Sunia was stunned behind. Wow, I didn't expect that Shizuka would be so much more beautiful after taking off the hairband. But and as he said, if you have time to see Shizuka, you might as well find something to eat. He is so hungry. After all, his body is already very strong, and ordinary food can't provide their body consumption at all. Even if they are full for a short while, they will be hungry, not to mention that they have never been full. This is also the reason why they always choose to eat insects. Only those big insects with rich blood can provide enough strength, and they can feel full after eating. Chumushin was fine, because his body was still normal, and ordinary food could keep him alive. Soon, Yu and Dazi took out a magazine and sat on the sofa, drinking juice and eating cake. Anyway, he just needed to not feel hungry. As for eating full, forget it. All the food reserves on this ship were not enough for him alone. Half an hour later, The security guard came to him again. "Young master, we have arrived at our destination, Zangba Island." Yu and Dazi nodded, put down the book in his hand and walked out, and went to Ziofu's villa on Zangba Island with everyone to have a good dinner. Just as he was about to get off the car, the security guard stopped Yu and Dazi. "Young master, would you and Master Chumushin stay at my master's villa for a night?" "Forget it, I came with my friends, and it's not good to be separated from them." Yu and Dazi rejected his kindness, and chose to follow the main force. Before leaving, Yu and Dazi suddenly remembered something and added, "Also, don't call me that, it sounds like I'm his son. Zangba Island is not that big. At least Chumushin and Yu and Dazi's mental power can easily cover most of the area here." After a while, everyone stood in front of the villa and shouted excitedly, "Great, after drifting for an afternoon, we are finally here. I must have a good sleep today." Yu and Dazi scanned the kitchen with his mental power expressionlessly. "The food here seems to be edible. Let's cook quickly." Chumushin next to him looked at him with some disdain. "Why do you think about eating all day long? Then you think about reading all day long." Yu and Dazi glared back. At this time, Kusanagi had driven the car he brought to the front of the villa and recorded the data of his car. Today, the car used 3/4 of the fuel in 4 hours of driving, and the performance was still good. After putting away his booklet, Kusanagi clapped his hands and signaled everyone to be quiet. "I believe everyone is hungry, right? Let's quickly start cooking dinner." And as he raised his hand and was the first to agree, "No problem. I'll go over there and catch some fish now. I can make sushi or fish soup tonight. I'm looking forward to it." Ziashin shook his head helplessly. "I'll go outside to find some wild vegetables. I'm still very confident in my knowledge in this area." "You found a good job." And as he rolled his eyes at him, under the influence of mental power, all the wild vegetables could not escape his eyes. "Same here." Chumushin smiled and waved his hand. "Then I'll go dig wild vegetables. You guys hurry up and cook." After watching him leave, and as he also said, "I'm going to fish. I hope the rice will be cooked when I come back." "Don't worry, leave it to me." Fat Tiger rolled up his sleeves and told and Dazi and Chumushin to rest assured because he was here. "Ah, it's because you're here that I'm worried." He turned around and complained, then left. Anyway, Kusanagi was there, and Fat Tiger couldn't make any trouble. If he really put something there, he would definitely stop him, so he dared to leave. "Okay, don't just stand there." Shizuka pulled Sunya into the kitchen. "Yuan and Izuki have already started, let's get to work." Kusanagi took them to the kitchen, briefly introduced the kitchen utensils and ingredients here, and went back to the living room to play video games. "It's always right to bring a few children every time you come here, and it's definitely right to leave the cooking to them. Haha." And as he walked to the beach, regardless of whether the fish were willing or not, and directly performed the levitation technique to catch a few more big fish, and then went back with his harvest. Izuki also began to pick wild vegetables nearby, but at this time, a very strange feeling appeared in his soul power. This feeling was like returning to the arms of his mother, and any harm and pain seemed to no longer exist, as if he had been reborn. "What's going on? Why do I feel like my soul has been healed? There must be something strange here." Chumushin continued to radiate his spiritual power, and began to search for the source of the warmth. His intuition told him that this opportunity must not be missed. Chapter 542 Medusa. And as he was walking on the path back with a few big fish in his arms, at this moment, he suddenly sensed the presence of Chumushin in his mental power range. That guy is also nearby. Why not find him to go back together? It's boring to walk alone anyway. A few minutes later, he suddenly sensed another extremely cold soul in his soul, and then a sharp pain came from his sea of consciousness. This injury came very suddenly, and he was not prepared at all. His body softened, and even the fish he was holding fell to the ground. "You are really too careless." The soul-devouring monument quickly released its power. "You are always lazy, and don't use the induction technique. Now you are actually attacked directly by the existence of the outside world. Do you think you have a strong mental power as a mentalist?" Complaints aside, the soul-devouring monument did not save effort in the process of treating him. In addition, his injuries were not serious, so it took only a few seconds to heal him. Yu and Dazi stood up again, not caring about the fish. The owner of that soul is fighting with Demolition. I have to rush over. Then you should be careful. If you release your mental power directly again, the cloak and I can't provide direct protection. Don't worry, how can I fall twice by the same move? Yu and Dazi ran towards Demolition's position. At the same time, a dark black cloak appeared on his body. After absorbing the power of the origin, the dark star cloak began to evolve again. Damn it, the opponent I met this time seems to be very difficult. Yu and Dazi thought about the situation just now. It seems that it is the real Medusa. Just now, Medusa glanced at his mental power, and he felt that his soul was about to be petrified, so he quickly withdrew. Damn, last time Medusa made us so embarrassed, this time it's the real Medusa. Yu and Dazi thought about the countermeasures while rushing to the battlefield. Demolition seemed to have been tricked, and now it was very dangerous for him to face Medusa. At this time, Xianxian used the dirt on the ground to create a temporary earth wall to block Medusa's sight, and at the same time, he used his mental power to roll up the gravel and threw it out as bullets. At this time, his condition was also very bad. Just now, Medusa accidentally saw his feet, so one of his feet had begun to petrify. In addition, like Yu and Dazi, he accidentally used his mental power to observe Medusa directly, which made his soul a little confused, and his strength could only be exerted about half. However, he was still deliberately guiding Medusa to a distance, because in this way, their battle would not affect ordinary people in the villa area. Humph, you kid think you can stop me with a dirt wall? You dare to hinder my plan, you must die here. Medusa pulled out a long stone arrow from the quiver behind her and put it on the wooden bow. There seemed to be a magic pattern between the bow and the arrow, and they began to resonate. Stop it, you bastard. The cold current hit from a distance, and Medusa had to give up shooting arrows and jumped onto a tree with the power of her snake tail. The cold wind blew, and all the leaves around were covered with a layer of frost. The deep blue light swayed gently in the wind. Humph, who is doing something shameful here? Medusa's snake hair spread out, and every eye was searching for nearby enemies. At this time, Yu and Dazi was behind a tree, using magic to adjust his body temperature to the same level as the surrounding environment. From the previous fight, he had already guessed that Medusa's mental power could not be released externally, and she could only deal with the mental power that was released actively. In addition to direct vision, her snake hair may also use the principle of thermal imaging, so as long as he did not take the initiative to reveal his flaws, then with Medusa's ability, she would never find him. Humph, if you don't come out, I will have to change my target. She once again aimed the bow and arrow at Chumushin. Are you here to save him anyway? Damn it. Yu and Dazi wanted to test her twice to see the bottom line, but the situation at this time really did not allow him to wait any longer. Izuki is still behind the earth wall. His soul is damaged. It is estimated that he will not be able to get up for a while. Let's do it. In order to ensure that no one dies, Yu and Dazi must stand up and let Medusa attack him, the human who poses a greater threat. The Archangel's staff instantly appeared in his hand. Since you are so eager to die, I have no choice but to help you. Thunder Dragon Flash. The surrounding lightning element suddenly became violent, and a large amount of lightning magic gathered at the top of Yu and Dazi's staff. Under the huge increase of the Archangel's staff, the power of this 4th level magic reached its peak. Yu and Dazi was also a little surprised. I didn't expect this Archangel's staff to be so powerful. The 4th level magic can construct elements so quickly. To make the magic take shape, the gathering of element in large quantities and the formation of them in order are the process of magicians like him to cast magic. After each upgrade, the element that need to be gathered and the difficulty of magic construction will increase greatly, so when casting unfamiliar new magic, spells are usually needed to assist. Judging from the performance of the incomplete Archangel's staff, at least he doesn't need to spend too much effort to cast 4th level magic. Even now, it is definitely at the level of a 5th level magic device. Without thinking too much, Yu and Dazi tried his best to throw the Thunder Dragon in his hand towards Medusa, who was still in a daze on the tree. Just now, when Yu and Dazi's magic power poured into the magic wand, a very faint pattern flashed on the magic wand. However, neither Yu and Dazi nor Ling Feng, who had been watching the battlefield, noticed this slight change in the magic wand. No. If I stay here, I will die. Medusa finally came to her senses and tried her best to move a small step to the side before the thunder dragon attacked. The screams echoed in the woods, and Shizuka and others who were cooking in the distance suddenly felt a chill. What's going on? I think I heard some terrible noises coming from the woods just now. She opened the window and looked outside. I hope Dekisugi and the others are not in danger. The thunder dragon swept across half of her body, and her left hand to her abdomen was basically burned by lightning. The injuries looked amazing. Yu and Dazi stayed there for a second. He didn't expect that the power of this thing was so great. Then he immediately rushed to the area where Medusa was. Although he was also very surprised at the effect of his magic, he never forgot that not finishing off the enemy was a major feature of the villain. For the sake of his own safety, Yu and Dazi decided to rush up and do some more damage to make sure she was dead. Not long after, Yu and Dazi saw Medusa lying on the ground, with the left side of her body almost completely carbonized, and her breathing could no longer be heard within 5 meters. Is this guy really dead, or did he die in a collision? He approached Medusa carefully. At the same time, magic power surged in both hands, ready to respond to emergencies at any time. Because he also had to prevent Medusa from not dying, he could not use mental power to detect directly. When he was less than 3 meters away from Medusa, he suddenly stopped. Forget it. To be on the safe side, I'd better stand farther away and finish off the enemy. After that, he took out the Archangel's staff and prepared to stab this guy to death with magic here. Level 3 Ice Magic, Ice Storm. Ice magic gathered in his hands. Just when the magic was about to be completed, Medusa suddenly turned her head and looked at him. The Eye of Petrification had been activated. Chapter 543 Eyes. But when Medusa turned over and opened her eyes, Yu and Dazi continued to complete his magic calmly. I knew it was a trick. Humph, even if you react, it's over. Medusa was not panicked at all, because her eyes had already seen the sky. Wait, the sky? When she finally saw the scene in front of her clearly, Medusa found that Yu and Dazi's left hand was actually holding a mirror made of ice. His magic just now was not for attack at all, and he was waiting for her to calculate herself from the beginning. Damn, have you been on guard against me from the beginning? But don't underestimate me too much. Yu and Dazi was about to speak, and suddenly felt that his left hand gradually lost consciousness, starting from the fingers of his left hand, and turned into stone. You are too naive, kid. Do you really think that I can't petrify you because I can't see your eyes? Medusa slowly stood up. As long as I see something, I can petrify it. Yu and Dazi felt something was wrong at this time, because the energy of these petrifications was very advanced, and even his current magic power could not completely resist it. Boy, you underestimated me. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not pointing the mirror at my face. Medusa picked up the bow and arrow again, aiming the arrow at Yu and Dazi, whose half hand had been petrified. Now he couldn't move the mirror away, otherwise Medusa would have petrified herself. Just as she was aiming through the snake's heat sensor, she suddenly exerted force with her legs, and at this moment she exerted her speed to the extreme. Almost in an instant, he rushed under Medusa, which was his blind spot, and he couldn't see anything. You are the naive one. Do you really think that I made a mistake by not pointing the mirror at your face? Medusa was immersed in the joy of her upcoming victory, and was caught off guard and hit by his fist on the chin. Ugh. Medusa raised her head and spit out a large mouthful of blood, and the whole person flew out at a speed comparable to a cannonball. Yu and Dazi shook the Archangel staff to the ground, and earth magic flowed out of the staff. The wall of earth rose behind Medusa. You should pay the price for your underestimation, Medusa. Bang. Medusa's body hit the rock wall heavily, and the huge vibration sound could be clearly heard by everyone on the island. Yu and Dazi followed closely behind, holding her head with one hand, to prevent her from opening her eyes again. I didn't let you die of petrification directly, in order to get your eyes. He regretted it now, after letting go of the Sharingan. In order to improve his strength, he could accept even changing his eyes. After confirming that she couldn't open her eyes, he stretched out his hand, and the cold air gradually condensed into an ice spear. Looking at Medusa in front of him, Yu and Dazi also felt a little bit reluctant. Although I don't know why you took the initiative to attack us. I'm sorry, you've blocked my way. After saying that, Yu and Dazi stabbed the soul-stealing spear into her abdomen, and the cold gradually spread to Medusa's body, sealing her soul bit by bit. What do you know? Medusa suddenly gave up struggling. You don't know anything at all. I was originally a maid who believed in Athena, but was violated by that bastard Poseidon. My god abandoned me and turned me into this. She grabbed Yu and Dazi's hands with all her strength. As long as I get the rebirth grass, I can return to my original state. How can I be stopped by a junior like you? At this moment, Yu and Dazi only felt a strong force coming from his hands. In order to return to normal, Medusa has begun to burn her life and completely disregarded everything. I said, you're blocking my way. Yu and Dazi was not to be outdone, and his body size began to surge. This was the sublimation of his 4th level magic physique. This magic is more powerful than the giant strength technique. The giant strength technique is like forcing external force on you, while the physical sublimation is to increase vitality from the inside, thereby improving the user's physical fitness in all aspects. And the precision of the control over one's own body will not be reduced by half a point compared to before using magic. This time, Medusa's act of burning her life did not break free from Yu and Dazi's grip. After all, she was not a creature that was good at physical skills. In the end, Medusa could only watch her soul being frozen bit by the soul-snatching spear. Damn it, I will curse you in hell, evil gods. After confirming that the other party was really dead, Yu and Dazi also let go of her head. Finally solved, although I don't really want to kill her. Those gods who think they are high and mighty never take humans seriously. For them, new humans are just a source of faith. Athena in the mythology did not dare to vent her anger on Poseidon, so she took it out on this maid, who was just an ant to her anyway. Chumushin had also walked to Yu and Dazi's side. He had also heard about Medusa, and felt a little sorry. The gods she was talking about are the ones I met on the moon some time ago, right? Maybe, those high gods. Yu and Dazi walked up to her, and pulled open her eyelids with his hands, preparing to dig out her cursed eyes with his hands. Xiaoshan took 2 steps back. Student Yu, you are not really going to dig out her eyes, are you? It feels so scary. Yes, I must do everything possible to improve my strength now. Yu and Dazi did not hesitate at all. Chumushin saw that his attitude was very determined, so he walked aside and prepared to find the warm feeling in his soul and avoid this scene by the way. His hand slowly approached Medusa's eyes. Sorry, as an enemy of the gods, please give me a little help. After convincing himself, he also closed his eyes and hardened his heart and dug out both eyes of Medusa at once with his own hands. This process is indeed a bit difficult for people to accept, so Yu and Dazi can only work with his eyes closed and feel. After getting the cursed eye, he felt relieved. Sure enough, after losing the host, his eyes will no longer petrify people. Because when Medusa was completely killed before, the petrification effect on Yu and Dazi's hand was lifted, so he dared to take the eye so confidently. The soul-devouring monument also appeared in front of Yu and Dazi. You have become so crazy that you actually want to change your eyes. Yes, the sun god puts too much pressure on me. If I don't improve my strength to a level that is enough to surpass him, I will always be a little worried. You don't have to be too anxious. The sun god can't move for a while. The old man took the eyes, and you can't use these eyes for a while. Yu and Dazi softened instantly. He couldn't use them? Then why did he spend so much effort? These eyes are cursed by Athena, so at most they are equivalent to a 5th level magic, and the effect is not very great. The old man put away his eyeballs, and transplanting your eyeballs is equivalent to bearing her curse. Do you think you are really ready? Are you kidding me? Carrying a 5th level curse? I still want to live a little longer. Forget it. Yu and Dazi waved his hands again and again. What other uses does this thing have? If it's useless, throw it away. Actually, you can still use it. As for the method, there happens to be a good thing here. Maybe you can use these eyes without bearing the curse. Chapter 544 Concealment. Oh. What method? Yu and Dazi instantly became excited. Tell me quickly, I can't wait. The old man kept it a secret and didn't tell him directly, but reminded him to find Mushin. Don't forget what Medusa said just now. There should be a herb of rebirth nearby, and Mushin has already passed. Yu and Daisy was a little curious. What is the use of this herb of rebirth? And it actually made Medusa so desperate. It's very simple. This thing is like giving you a rebirth, and it can wash away all the negative states in your body. So Medusa is crazy about getting the herb of rebirth. In addition to the body, even the injuries on the soul will be healed. It can be said to be a healing elixir. If you eat it immediately after the eye transplant, the curse can be washed away, and the eye will become something similar to a magic device. The old man turned around a little bored. This thing will be of great use to you, so go find it quickly. His mental power pointed out a direction in the space, and Yu and Daisy directly triggered the law of space and appeared at the destination. Then he waved his hand expressionlessly. Hey Chumushin, I didn't expect you to be here already. Yes, I felt something was calling me before, so I kept walking here. Yu and Daisy didn't care. Since Chumushin got it, he would give it to him. At least until now, he didn't find any hidden injuries in his body, so Yu and Daisy was not in a hurry. But the old man was secretly mad. It's really abominable. Why don't you ask him for it? This thing can replenish the source of life. The soul-devouring monument values this grass very much. The herbs that can replenish the source of life are 1 in 10,000. And this grass is also quite famous among this kind of herbs. This kid doesn't know how precious it is. And the most important thing is that he doesn't know his physical condition. So even if he tells him that this herb is very precious, Yu and Daisy will probably still give it away. Chumushin turned and looked at Yu and Daisy. Do you know this herb? Can you tell me about its effects? I don't know much about this herb either. Let the old man tell me. Yu and Daisy threw the matter to the old man without hesitation. He has never been good at this kind of explanation, so let the old man tell him for him. The spirit of the soul-devouring monument floated out. Humph, you only know how to push things onto me. I will tell you in detail about the rebirth grass. The old man then gave a 10-minute detailed introduction to the rebirth grass. Yu and Daisy found a tree to sit down and prepared to take this opportunity to take a rest. After the old man finished speaking, he felt a little regretful. If Yu and Daisy took this herb, his physical condition would no longer be a problem. Chumushin listened to the whole story, looked at the rebirth grass with love, and then looked at Yu and Daisy, and finally made up his mind. He took the initiative to give up his position. Lord Daisy, I'll leave this herb to you. I believe you need it more than I do. Why? Yu and Daisy stood up. You were the first to find this herb. Wouldn't you feel bad if you gave it to me? No, I don't think it's worth my heartache. Zyadishin pointed at the herb. You are often injured in battle. This herb can cure hidden diseases and will be very useful to you. The soul-devouring monument finally breathed a sigh of relief. It didn't expect that Chumushin would take the initiative to give up this treasure. It was a pleasant surprise. However, this harmonious scene may only happen here, right? This herb alone can drive many ancient monks crazy. Yu and Daisy nodded. Okay, then, I'll take this herb. Maybe it will be useful in the future? Just as they were about to go back, several people in security uniforms suddenly ran over. 2 young masters. What happened here? Nothing. We just encountered an enemy just now. Yu and Daisy answered, while dragging Chumushin forward a step. Zyoshan immediately understood and followed him to the security guards, so as not to let them see this grass with the breath of reincarnation. The rebirth grass in this state is not something that ordinary people can get close to. If the soul is a little weak, it will be absorbed into the rebirth grass as nutrients. I have dealt with the enemies here. The body should have turned into stone on the wall over there. You don't have to worry. Yu and Daisy pointed to the wall of earth that had just risen. After Medusa died, her body turned into a stone sculpture for some reason. The 2 men immediately ran over to check the situation and report to the boss. Very good, this is convenient. Yu and Daisy turned around and carved a simple slate of hand on the ground. This should be enough. He put away his staff. There is no container now. Come back tomorrow to take this rebirth grass back over there. If this kind of heaven and earth spiritual treasure is picked, and there is nothing to preserve it, the spiritual energy will dissipate rapidly, and it will lose all its medicinal properties in a short time. So they did not act rashly. After a while, 2 gangster security guards came over again. "Young master, does that monster have the ability to turn people into stone?" Yu and Daisy nodded. "Yes, she does have this ability." "What's wrong?" The security guard clenched his fists. "Yes, my brother has fallen into her hands and turned into stone." He took off his hat and placed it on his hand and bowed solemnly to Yu and Daisuke. "Thank you very much for avenging my brother so that he can rest in peace." Yu and Daisuke first walked over and patted him on the shoulder to comfort him. "It's okay. After this monster dies, the curse left on your brother should disappear." "Really?" Hope ignited in the security guard's eyes again. "Is it really possible that my brother can still come back to life?" "Of course, the curse needs a person to be alive to take effect. Now that he is dead, the curse will naturally disappear." Yu and Daisuke comforted the security guard again, then suddenly grabbed his collar and threw him to the ground with an over-the-shoulder throw. "Since you knew, why didn't you tell us there was a monster here? Do you know how dangerous it was for us to encounter her without preparation just now?" "Sorry." The security guard wiped his tears on the ground with his hands, letting the blood flow on the ground. "I'm really scared. I'm afraid that you will give up coming to this island after knowing that there are monsters. If that happens, I will never be able to avenge my brother in my life. I'm really sorry." Yu and Daisuke looked at him with a cold face. This bastard kept it a secret. If it weren't for the soul-devouring monument to heal his soul, the problem would be really serious. If they had known all this earlier, how could they have fallen into such a dangerous situation? Dekishan witnessed all this and shook his head gently. This guy's personal feelings almost killed people. He is indeed the type who deserves to die. If they were not the first to encounter Medusa, or if Yu and Daisuke's support was a little slower, casualties might have occurred. Because of this, even if Yu and Daisuke intended to kill him, Dekishan would not ask for a word of mercy for him. "Humph, I'm too lazy to bother with you." Yu and Daisuke walked over and pulled Dekishan up and went to Sunya's villa with him. Chapter 545 Jealousy. Shizuka used the wild vegetables and fish they brought back to make a sumptuous dinner, but Yu and Daisuke just ate a few bites and left it at that. Anyway, these things were useless to him. The difference between eating and not eating was just a matter of a few minutes of hunger. And after what happened just now, he was not in the mood to eat. After returning to his room, he immediately sat cross-legged and took out a small ceramic bottle. "Are you sure you can use this to make a sealing container? I always feel that it seems unreliable, and ceramics are easy to break." The spirit of the soul-devouring monument floated out. "Don't worry, of course I'm sure. The important thing is the magic pattern on it, and the quality of the container itself is secondary. As long as there is no problem with your magic pattern, the spiritual energy will not leak. I understand. Transmit the magic pattern to me." He closed his eyes and began to carefully memorize the knowledge given to him by the soul-devouring monument. More than 10 minutes later, he opened his eyes. "Yes, after the upgrade, my understanding of the magic pattern has also increased a lot. It took only 10 minutes to remember the magic pattern of soul storage, which was made up of thousands of intersecting lines. This speed is not slow." And as he waved his hand, and the ceramic bottle flew to his hand, the magic power began to leave marks on the bottle. 3 hours later, he put the bottle in his cloak. Since the matter was over, he should take the time to have a good rest. Anyway, they will not go back until Sunday. It is not too late to get the herb of rebirth tomorrow night. Anyway, he is not injured now. At dawn, a blood-colored meteor fell from the sky and landed straight in the sea not far away. The blood god Mona held up his small umbrella. "Is this the world found by the sun god? It looks good, much better than the deserted temple. But it will be dawn soon. I'd better have a good sleep." Mona closed the umbrella and let the ocean swallow him. It's not that she can't move under the sun. As the god of the blood clan, she naturally won't be afraid of the sun, but her nature has determined that she will never like to move under the sun. In addition, the person who sent her this time is the sun god, the master of the sun, so Mona naturally doesn't want to move, and it's understandable that she is passive. When the sun shines on Yu and as his quilt, he rubbed his eyes. What's going on? Is it dawn? After finally breaking free from the clutches of the sleep demon, he began to practice physical skills. The effect of morning exercises is usually very good. And Izuki-chan also walked out of the next room, and an gang appeared in his hand, and began to practice swordsmanship. Izuki-chan, I didn't expect you to get up in the morning to practice. Yu and Dazi was a little surprised by this. Doesn't he usually read a book after getting up early? Zyashin smiled and replied, yes, since the last battle with the God of Souls, I realized that I'm still very weak. But when he took out an gang, the knife began to ring softly, as if something was constantly calling it. Seeing this, Yu and Dazi suddenly laughed. Hey, what's wrong with your knife? Did you forget to turn off the vibration after using it last night? Huh? What are you talking about? What do you mean you have to turn off the vibration after using it? Zyashin turned around and looked at Dazi with a puzzled look. No, nothing. Don't take it to heart. Just pretend I didn't say anything. Yu and Dazi pretended to be innocent and continued to practice boxing. He forgot that he couldn't drive casually. He didn't have a driver's license in his life. Zyashin didn't care about him anymore. He immersed his mind in the blade and began to carefully feel Ngang's emotions. Yu and Dazi was on guard beside him, so as not to encounter anyone to disturb him later. Although it would not cause any harm, it would still give people a very uncomfortable feeling. After a while, Demishin opened his eyes, and Ngang's consciousness is still unclear, but I seem to feel that there is an evil demon nearby that needs to be killed. That should be Medusa. Her body may still be there. Yu and Dazi answered casually. Anyway, there should be no evil demons here. For this reason, they specially joined forces yesterday to search the island thoroughly. There is absolutely no other superpower here. I also think that if we can't find it, even if we join forces, then it should not be a monster that we can resist. It might be better to pretend that we didn't see it. Zyashin also chose to ignore Ngang for the time being. He didn't intend to use his precious life to fight against an enemy that he didn't need to face in the first place. Because he had died once before, he understood the preciousness of his life more and would cherish this hard-won new life more. They practiced swordsmanship together for more than half an hour and then heard Sunia's voice. Nobita, we are having fun here. And as he curled his lips in disdain, TSK, this guy is showing off his villa to Nobita again. It's so boring. Yeah, Nobita is also a bit miserable. Such an interesting activity, he can't participate because the number of people is full. No, in fact, it's you who have no chance to participate. And as he secretly complained in his heart, but his face was still expressionless. At this time, Nobita hung up the phone fiercely at home. Damn guy, he actually called me in the morning to show off. What's wrong? Could it be Sunia calling? The Reman patted his back and signaled him not to be angry. Yeah, that bastard not only boasted that the villa over there is great, but also said that the dinner made by Shizuka herself last night was delicious. But Shizuka is my wife. What does it mean that he ran over there to cook for Sunia? I really can't accept it. I want to go there too. After listening to Nobita's words, the blue fat man could only spread his hands helplessly. Didn't you say that you no longer rely on his props? Why do you still look for him out of habit? But no matter what you say, you still have to help. The blue fat man started to dig into his pocket again. In that case, let's use the anywhere door to go there. Okay, I want to scare that bastard Sunia. Nobita stood by, waiting excitedly for Doraemon to take out the anywhere door. But when he took out the portal, Nobita suddenly stopped him. Wait a minute. I suddenly feel that we can't just go over there like this. Huh? Why? The blue fat man's hand on the handle was also stunned because he felt that Nobita was going to come up with some weird ideas again. Even if I go over now, Shizuka is still at Sunia's place. So we have to find a way to pull Shizuka over here. Then Nobita hugged Doraemon. Is there any way to make a building that can rival Sunia's villa? Only in this way can Shizuka stand on our side. Don't be funny. How can I have such a prop? Wait, I seem to have one here. The blue fat man wanted to push Nobita away, but he suddenly changed his mind because he had added a wave of new props when he went back to the future last time. He reached into his pocket again. You want props that can rival Sunia's villa, right? Let's build an identical villa and go over there. No, let's build an island by the way. Chapter 546 Model Camera. After Sunia and his friends had breakfast, they started to discuss what to do today. Sunia was the most active. How about it? Let's go fishing on a luxury yacht today. I have a diving suit here, so we can go fishing in the sea. Really? The last time I went diving was more than half a year ago. Now that you mention it, I want to go diving too. Shizuka immediately showed a yearning expression. Fat Tiger also agreed. Then it's decided, we'll go diving in the morning. Does anyone else have any opinions? Everyone thought that no one would object, but Yu and Dazi stood up. I don't think it's okay in the morning. Let's do homework in the morning. Let's go diving in the afternoon. How about it? How can that be? We finally got here, and you want us to do homework? Fat Tiger stood up and confronted him. I absolutely don't agree. Yu and Dazi yawned. Why did this guy have to go against him? Did he really want to die young? Do you really want to go out and play now? Then what about your homework? Don't tell me you'll come back to do it after you play. If you go in the morning, you may not be able to come back in the afternoon. When you come back, there will be a lot of things to do, and you will have very little time to do your homework. He pointed at Fat Tiger, and we will be back tomorrow morning. Do you have the confidence to finish all the homework and a sketch within an hour tomorrow morning? Fat Tiger was asked by him. After thinking for a while, he could only loosen his fist helplessly. I know, let's do the homework in the morning. Fat Tiger also chose not to resist, and Ziofu had to give up. He finished it, but this does not mean that others have done it, and it is impossible to copy homework openly now. Ian and Azzy nodded. That's right. It's not summer yet, and the seawater is still relatively cold in the morning. It's not good if you catch a cold. Speaking of this, Zyashin coughed a little embarrassedly. He had caught the most colds in the past 6 months. Kusanagi also agreed, and then went to his room to turn on the video. He had time to play games again. Fat Tiger and Shizuka walked into the living room and opened their school bags, while Yu and Dazi and the other three took out their sketchbooks and prepared to go out to sketch. Nobita and Doraemon appeared next to Zangbar Island with a camera, looking very solemn. Doraemon, are you sure there is no problem with your props? After all, copying this thing is a big project. Don't worry, my model camera can perfectly copy whatever it takes a picture of, and it's a 1:1 ratio. Not only the size, but also the functions are exactly the same, and you can even plant trees on it. Then he picked up the camera lens and pointed it at Zangbar Island. Let's use this thing to get your Shizuka back. When the camera took in the scenery of Zangbar Island, the model making machine installed in the room started working, and the first model that was larger than his body was spit out by it. Doraemon, why is there only this small piece? Don't tell me that the whole island only has this one part. Nobita looked at Doraemon with disbelief. His props were sometimes really unreliable and often broke down at critical moments. Don't worry about it. Doraemon poured out the model. This is just the first puzzle piece of the Zangbar Island model. There are many more to come. Nobita was relieved. After all, there was only one part for the entire island, which was indeed a bit mysterious. The blue fat man walked up and carried the part on his back. Let's work together later, otherwise I will be busy to death alone. Nobita also rolled up his sleeves. Don't worry, how could I be absent from this matter? I will help you right away. Don't worry, before helping, eat this thing first. Doraemon took out a bottle of medicine from his pocket again. This thing is called the efficiency 100 times ingot. As long as you eat this magical prop, your work efficiency can be increased by 100 times. What? It turns out to be taking medicine. Doraemon, can I not eat it? Nobita looked at the small bottle with a reluctant look on his face. Doraemon's eyes suddenly changed when he stared at him, from the original kind eyes to the nuclear evil. Does this kid know how long he will have to work if he doesn't take this medicine? There are tens of thousands of fragments on an island. Okay, I'll eat it. Don't look at me with that look. Forced to do so, Nobita had to pinch his nose and swallow the pill. Seeing Nobita eat it, Doraemon retracted his temper and said with a smile, that's right, let's work hard together. I know, it's a disgusting medicine. Nobita covered his neck with disgust. What he hated most was taking medicine. Nonsense. Do you still expect to make it strawberry flavored for you to swallow it easily? Doraemon opened the package of the fragments casually and threw the fragments into the sea opposite the arbitrary door. Then, the second fragment was also sprayed out, and Doraemon continued to throw the fragments over. Don't worry, in order to reduce the workload, the parts of the large model are in order, so just throw them. Doraemon threw the parts quickly, while explaining to Nobita that the function of this prop also greatly reduced their workload, which was good news. Nobita asked him while throwing, by the way, Doraemon, how many parts does this prop have? Let me think. If it is a 1:1 Zangbajima, there are about 60,000 pieces. Doraemon gave the answer, based on the performance of the machine. Hearing this number, Nobita almost collapsed on the spot. What? 60,000 pieces? Then we have to fight until the end of time. Then what do you think the 100 times efficiency ingots I asked you to eat are for? Eat them for fun. The blue fat man's words made him speechless, so he had to continue throwing the fragments of Zangbajima. Nobita, what are you doing again? The angry mother suddenly pushed the door open. Didn't I tell you that you have to finish your homework before you can go out to play? What? Nobita straightened up and looked at her with pleading eyes. Can it be just this time? I really have something urgent. But Nobita's mother couldn't stand Nobita's previous test results anymore. It was better some time ago, but now he got 0 again. She absolutely couldn't stand it this time. So she walked to Nobita's side, her face gradually covered with a layer of haze. Don't forget that I didn't scold you when you got 0 points in the last exam. You must finish your homework today before you can go out to play. There is no room for negotiation. After that, she threw Nobita onto the chair with one hand, then turned around and left Nobita's room in a cool manner. Nobita could only look at Doraemon helplessly. I'm sorry, then I'll have to ask you to work alone first. I know, go ahead. Doraemon threw the fragments spit out by the machine at a high speed. It's 100 times more efficient. You won't be able to write for long. He nodded vigorously, with a ray of hope flashing in his eyes. In the name of Shizuka, he must finish this week's homework as quickly as possible this time. Then Nobita picked up the pen, thinking much faster than usual, and the pencil in his hand kept leaving marks on the calculation paper. And Doraemon also took the time to look at him with relief. As long as Nobita kept doing this, he would have no complaints. Gian and Eiji, Dekisugi and Sunia walked on the island. They looked at Sunia very unhappily. For some reason, this guy had to follow them when sketching. It's really abominable. I'm going to take back the rebirth grass now. Can't you just find a place to paint a picture by yourself? He looked at Sunia with a very unfriendly look now, and always wanted to find a time to trick him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 547 Island Completion. More than half an hour later, Yu and Azzy and Emushin picked up their paintings with satisfaction. Finally, the painting is finished. Because Sunia was following them all the time, they did not dare to use their superpowers, which also greatly reduced their painting speed. If they used mental power, this painting could be completed in a few minutes. Why did they waste so much time? Have you finished your painting? What a coincidence that I just finished my painting. Sunia put his painting in front of them. How about my sketch? Let me tell you, I learned it in a special cram school. It's amazing. So you are drawing a sketch, then we really can't compare with you. Yu and Azzy and Emushin unfolded the paintings in their hands at the same time, because our paintings are already colored. What? Sunia looked at Yu and Azzy and Emushin's paintings that looked like photos, and his hair exploded in shock. Is this something that humans can do? The two pink-cut black people put away the sketchbooks. Okay, now we are going to paint somewhere else. You continue to color. Wait. Please teach me. Coach, I want to learn this too. Sunia suddenly hugged Yu and Azzy and Dekisugi's legs and said he would not let them go no matter what. Really? Why are you so difficult? I should really teach you a lesson. Gian and Azzy and the others turned around helplessly and sat next to Sunia to teach him how to sketch. This morning was completely delayed. Nobita also finished his homework. After fighting with Doraemon, he had thrown all the pieces of the Jachi island into the sea and completed the first step of assembling the model. Nobita, we have only assembled the base, so don't worry, the project is still early. I know, I have arranged the remaining pieces according to a certain pattern, and I know how to assemble them. The two began to put the pieces in place one by one according to the order of the pieces given by the machine. This project was even more huge than the previous throwing of pieces, because there can't be any mistakes at this time. Once the pieces are put together incorrectly, a large area must be started over again. Before they knew it, another island had emerged on the sea. Now they just had to wait for Shizuka to come. When they were working hard, Doraemon suddenly paused and slowed down the speed of assembling the fragments. The 1 hour time is up. Doraemon took out the 100x efficiency tablet and took another one. Then he handed a tablet to Nobita. Nobita, the effect of the medicine has expired. Now you have to take another tablet, okay? Nobita didn't hesitate at all. Don't worry, I will never back down at this time. Although he refused before eating it, it was too fragrant after eating it. In comparison, it was just a little bitter, which was indeed tolerable. The two replenished their reserves and continued to work frantically on the sea. At this moment, Nobita suddenly remembered something and turned to look at Doraemon. By the way, how long will it take us to complete this thing? Let me think. At our speed, it will probably take about 3 hours. Only 3 hours? That's great. Wait, Sunia, you dare to show off to me? I will definitely surprise you. Nobita clenched his fists, anger burning in his eyes. He will definitely not lose. Gian and Azzy and others helped Sunia to color, and the time has turned to 10:30. Now I have to go back to pack up and prepare lunch, and I guess there is no time to recycle the rebirth grass. Sunia held up his sketchbook. Great, my work will definitely win first place. Okay, don't worry about whether you win first place or not. The important thing now is not this, okay? Gian and Azzy stood up and pulled his ear. Now we should go back to prepare lunch, and we still have to go out to play in the afternoon. After experiencing all this, he also thought it through. Since he couldn't resist, he would enjoy it here. Anyway, they will definitely be free tonight, and the herb of rebirth will not grow legs and run away, so there is no need to rush. Back at the villa, Ziofu kicked the door open with his foot. I have finished painting. Look at my painting, it's pretty good. You bastard, who taught you to kick the door with your foot? How rude. Kusanagi walked up to him and punched him on the head. How come you don't know any etiquette after being left alone at home for a few days? It seems that I really need to have a good talk with my aunt and ask her to sign you up for a few more etiquette classes. Don't do this, Kusanagi. Ziofu didn't care about his headache and hugged his legs. You know my mother will scold me, and it's more painful to give me an etiquette class than to kill me. Kusanagi, please forgive me this time. Then you are not allowed to do this in the future, understand? Otherwise, I will let your mother teach you a lesson. After Kusanagi scolded him, he sat down at the computer desk and continued to play games. TSK, you really know how to put on airs. Yu and Azzy smiled quietly. Ziofu didn't know what happened, but he saw it clearly just now. Kusanagi was playing games at the computer desk. When he was about to pass the level, Ziofu kicked the door open, which scared him so much that his hands trembled, and then they were cold. For a senior game geek like Kusanagi, this is definitely a sin that cannot be forgiven lightly. So he just went over to teach Ziofu a lesson, which was considered that the two of them had a deep relationship. Otherwise he would definitely beat Ziofu up to vent his anger. What about you? How is your homework? Dekisugi walked towards Shizuka and the others. If you have any questions, you can ask me. As long as I know the answers, I can answer them. Shizuka happily took out her homework book and stood next to Dekisugi. Dekisugi, there are some questions I don't know. Seeing this scene, Fat Tiger silently bit the tip of his pen. That bastard knew how to show off at this time. It was really hateful. Damn you, I'll beat you to pieces when I'm smarter than you one day. Fat Tiger set a goal in his heart that he knew was impossible to achieve, just like he knew that his martial arts skills could not surpass Yu and Azuki. Yu and Azuki walked to the kitchen, holding his stomach and muttering, "Are there any dishes left from last night? I'm a little hungry." No, the rest of the food was eaten by you last night. There are only the ingredients you brought back. Shizuka listed the food in the refrigerator, and Yu and Azuki knew what was in it. Then let's have fish soup at noon. By the way, Shizuka, why are you and Izuka so close? Yu and Azuki pointed at Shizuka. Her head was about to touch Izuka's head. After hearing him point it out, Shizuka's face instantly turned red, and she waved her hands to explain. No, it's not like that. That's right, Daisuke, you think too much. Izuka was not embarrassed, and continued to explain the problem to Shizuka. It's just a joke. Why are you so nervous? Yu and Azuki smiled, then turned around, and added in his heart, anyway, you have been poached by Nobita, that infatuated man. Then he put on his apron, and started to work in the kitchen. When others finished their homework, Yu and Azuki also put a big pot of fish soup on the table. Dinner is ready, classmates. Coming soon. Everyone quickly packed up their things, and sat at the dining table to prepare for seafood. Nobita also heard his mother calling him to go downstairs for dinner, and quickly agreed, then looked at the Zangba Island under his feet with satisfaction. In this way, the basic model of Zangba Island is ready, but there is still something missing. Yes, I will take out some mechanical devices to decorate the island later. But now let's go to eat. The blue fat man pushed the reluctant Nobita into the arbitrary door on the beach. Chapter 548 Undersea. After dinner, Sunia ran to the coast of Zangba Island excitedly. I must catch some big fish this afternoon. Yes, I want some too. Fat Tiger had already changed into his swimsuit and was waiting for the people on the luxury cruise ship to pick them up. Have all the young masters arrived? I'll put the ladder down right away. The security guard ran down from above. What a lively group of children. Fat Tiger and Sunia ran up screaming, and Kuznaji also walked to the stairs. He was really helpless with these lively children. The other party is a gangster. Can you have some basic respect for them? What if you make them angry? TSK, I really don't know what to be excited about. Ian and Azuki also walked up. Didn't we stay at sea for several days? I forgot everything. Haha, don't say that. Sometimes I really feel that you lack energy and don't act like a child at all. Chumushin pushed him up and walked to the deck himself. Ian and Azuki glanced back at him. Everyone here has the right to say him, except this guy. Shizuka was carrying a small bag. Wait a minute, I haven't changed my clothes yet. Is there a completely enclosed room here? Of course there is. A security guard came up and pointed to a door next to him. No one has used that room for a long time. You can go there to change your clothes. Shizuka ran in the direction the security guard pointed. If she didn't change her swimsuit, she couldn't go into the water. The captain had already turned on the radio. We are about to set off. Passengers, please pay attention to your own safety. The luxury yacht slowly set sail, and Shizuka also returned to the deck in a swimsuit. I finally changed my clothes. When can I go into the water? Don't worry, we are going to the deep water area to play. Ziofu looked expectant. What fun is there on the coast? Anyway, if you have an oxygen tank, diving 20 or 30 meters is not a problem. Just pay attention to the speed of ascent. You guys chat first. I'll go to that room too. It just so happens that I also brought a swimsuit. Kuznaji walked towards the small room next to him. Ziofu looked at him with a puzzled expression. Kuznaji, I remember you said before that you didn't plan to go diving. Why did you suddenly change your mind? It's not that I didn't want to dive before, but I had to look after the yacht and be responsible for rescue matters. The cousin pointed to the cockpit. Now that I have them, I can go diving with peace of mind. He looked at Ziofu with a look of regret and then went into the room to change clothes. This child hasn't inherited his father's IQ for so long. I'm really worried about his future. The luxury ship sailed on the sea for more than 10 minutes. At this time, there were no obstacles and reefs nearby, and the view was very wide. The captain came to the deck and said, "This is a good place for diving. Let's do our activities here." After that, He waved to the crew behind him to come forward and said, before diving, please carry your oxygen cylinders as required and wear this bracelet just in case. Several crew members handed everyone a sports bracelet. This thing can help us locate quickly and detect heart rate. If something happens, we can also check your location through this bracelet. If your heart rate is abnormal, or you actively ask for help, people nearby and the crew on the ship can rush over quickly. For everyone's safety, I hope everyone will not lose this bracelet. After listening, everyone put it on solemnly. This thing is equivalent to a life-saving amulet. If something really happens, you can only rely on it. Gian and as he didn't care much. Anyway, his mental detection range is enough to cover a radius of 5 kilometers, and Chumushin's range is even larger, so he can have fun without worry. Also, please do not leave the 5-kilometer range around the ship, otherwise it will exceed the effective detection range. Okay, let's have fun. The captain waved his hand and 2 small boats were lowered, with special personnel and oxygen cylinders on them. Under the guidance of these professionals, the children put on their equipment and jumped in eagerly. Yu and Daisy jumped into the sea and began to sink deeper. His physical condition was much better than those people, and he didn't pay much attention to the matters that ordinary people needed to pay attention to. The last time I was at the bottom of the sea was not a good memory. By the way, this time I will see how deep I can dive. Thinking of this, Yu and Daisy dived quickly, not caring about the impact of the seawater pressure on his body. Chumushin saw him like this, and could do nothing but let him hurt himself. Anyway, the seawater here is only more than 600 meters deep, and there are no dangerous obstacles within 1 kilometer around, so there is no need to worry about him getting hurt. Fat Tiger and Sunia were catching fish nearby with a fishing net, but the results were not ideal. They ran away before they could retrieve the fish. Damn it, if you want to catch fish in the seabed, you really can't catch them without a closed net. They looked at the fish that escaped from their nets again. Their expressions were very angry, and they could only go up to find someone to change tools. Unlike the fat tiger Sunia, who was despised by the fish, Shizuka was always surrounded by several fish, and these fish would even take the initiative to touch her body with their lips and tails. Shizuka's expression also became very happy, but it was a pity that she couldn't speak under the sea with an oxygen mask, otherwise she would definitely laugh out loud. DQ was observing the types and some living habits of marine life, and planned to write a diary after the trip. And as he dived very quickly and quickly broke through 200 meters. At this time, the light in the seawater was very weak, but this difficulty did not hinder his vision. I have dived here unknowingly. I don't feel any discomfort in my body. I can continue to go down and take a look. He didn't care about the darkness in front of him. For him, it didn't matter whether there was light in front of him. Anyway, he relied on his own mental power to move. The light just made his eyes more adaptable, and it didn't have much effect. After diving for more than 100 meters, Yu and Daisy suddenly became alert, because from this moment on, the picture detected by his mental power turned into pure darkness, without any scene. Why can't I detect anything? Is there no fish around here? At this moment, Yu and Daisy casually hit a fish swimming towards him. No, there is something around here that is blocking my mental power. When the fish swam to his side and tried to attack him just now, the scene he detected was still pitch black. And it was not just the mental power that was blocked, even the 5 senses he had always relied on were greatly blocked, and only intuition was still working. He calmed down and slowly released the detection technique. I don't know what is blocking me, but I must find it. What if it is a treasure? When he completely calmed down and merged with the surrounding seawater, the surrounding shield seemed to disappear, and the movement of fish appeared in his sea of consciousness again. Yes, that's it. It seems there is a clue. Fat Tiger Sunia above had given up fishing and took out a camera to let Kusanagi take pictures of them. How could we not take some photos as a souvenir after such a rare visit? And most importantly, how could we show off to Nobita without photos? Kusanagi gestured. You guys, stay together. I'll take a group photo of you. They gestured to make an okay gesture, then swam together and all looked towards the camera. Okay, then I'll press the shutter. Kusanagi focused and prepared to press the shutter, but at this moment, a torrent surged from below, breaking this beautiful picture. Chapter 549 Troublesome Ability. What's going on? Is there something wrong down there? Feeling the strange water flow, Chumushin quickly released his mental power to check the situation. When he found something wrong, he immediately shouted nervously, "No, the temperature here is rising sharply. Everyone, swim up quickly." In addition to the impact, the current below also brought a lot of heat. The water temperature in the rapids quickly exceeded 50 degrees, and the temperature was still rising. Chumushin didn't care about exposing himself, and immediately used his mental power to pull everyone to his side. "Everyone listen, don't swim casually, otherwise you will get burned." Then he used his powerful mental power to squeeze the cylinder behind him, and the gas in the bottle instantly turned into countless bubbles and scattered. Afterwards, these escaping air was wrapped by Chumushin's mental power to form a huge bubble to isolate the heat. Then the bubble rushed out of the sea level with the surge of the water, and the people who participated in the dive this time were out of danger. Fat Tiger stood cautiously at the edge of Dekisugi's mental power, still not understanding what was happening in front of him. What on earth happened here? Why is the temperature so high? And Dekisugi, you made the invisible foothold under our feet, right? Shizuka looked at Dekisugi with a hint of excitement and curiosity. Under everyone's gaze, Dekisugi nodded. Yes. The platform under my feet was made by my telekinesis. The people on the sea were silent for a moment, and then cheered. They didn't expect Dekisugi to be a legendary superpower. Great. Dekisugi, can I interview you? Where did your telekinesis come from? When? Are you also blessed by the gods like Gian? Which god is it? How did you contact him? The questions were thrown out like a string of cannons, and Dekisugi had to reach out to cover their mouths. Sorry, I'm a little worried about Deiji now, so I'll leave first. After that, he used his power to send everyone to a nearby ship. Fortunately, the captain was lucky. The place where the current broke out was far away from the ship, and the ship was fine. He himself jumped down, his mental power covered his body to form a diving suit, and quickly headed towards the source of the change below. He is still at the bottom of the sea. If I'm not mistaken, the water flow just now was caused by his ability. Damn, the darkness in that area can't be detected. Soon, he found the root of the problem. It seems that I'm too careless like you and Daisuke. Thinking of this, he sped up a little bit, and he must go over as soon as possible to confirm whether you and Daisuke is safe. But just when he was about to enter the lightless zone, a figure passed by him and brought him to the surface. Are you crazy? You know there is danger below, and you still want me to risk your life to save you again. Daisuke, I'm glad you're okay. What happened down there? That water flow was also caused by you, right? At this time, Izuki also had many doubts that needed you and Daisuke to answer for him. He didn't say anything, and the strength under his feet increased a little bit, returning to the surface of the sea at a faster speed. The almost boiling temperature of the surrounding sea water seemed to have no effect on him. The following things are a bit complicated. Let's leave here first, and then we can slowly talk about that disgusting thing. Then a flying circle appeared beside him, carrying him and Emerson to the boat, and then sat down on the boat, breathing heavily. At this time, the others noticed that Gio and Daz's body seemed to be much drier than before, and there were 2 more blood holes on his neck. Student Gian, do you have a way to practice superpowers? Ziofu ran over with a happy face. Demishan said he can use telekinesis. Did you teach him? Demishan pushed him away. Don't worry about this guy. Is your body okay? Do you need to go back to heal? Ziofu didn't even look at the other party's current condition. Is this the time to say this? What are you talking about? Student Yuan must have defeated the enemy very handsomely. Fat Tiger has been desperate to learn superpowers. Yu and Daisuke couldn't stand it anymore and yelled to the captain who came out to check the situation. Don't look. Sail back to Zangba Island immediately. We can't stay here for long. Yes. I'll go back right away. The captain saluted him and ran back to the cockpit to work. Chumushin, I have something to discuss with you now. Yu and Daisuke grabbed Chumushin's hand. No one else is allowed to follow, otherwise I will beat them up. The two walked into the secluded room. Yu and Daisuke locked the door and found a place to sit down and rest. Are you okay? I see that you seem to have lost a lot of weight and your neck is also injured. It's better to treat it quickly. No, I have already treated this wound with magic, but the healing magic is not very effective. Even with the latest healing technique, the wound cannot be healed. It seems that the injuries caused by the upgraded opponent are indeed much more troublesome than the previous ones. And as he finally recovered his breath, it's not bleeding anymore, so there's no need to deal with it for now, but the troublesome things are still down there. Chumashin also became serious. There are many enemies that can make and Dazi suffer, but not too many. And even the terrifying energy burst just now was not resolved, which is enough to show that the enemy is very strong. The guy down there is a god, maybe a vampire. It's not that powerful, but I accidentally let her bite me. And as he pointed to the wound on his neck, she absorbed my blood through this wound, so my body became like this. Because there was no vision in the dark, the water pressure and darkness slowed his reaction down. Otherwise how could the blood god succeed in the sneak attack? Her strength and speed are not particularly strong, but after she bit me, I couldn't use any strength, so whether I would be bitten by her should be the key to victory. So I had no choice but to use the 4th level magic high temperature fire explosion to temporarily repel her, and I was able to escape from her mouth. Then the problem is not serious. Chumashin also breathed a sigh of relief. We can still deal with such a god. And as he was not happy at all, because that god was not as simple as he thought. If we just want to defeat her, it's easy, but the problem is how to kill her. After fighting with her, I realized that she can turn her body into black mist, and she is almost impossible to be destroyed in the mist state. When I performed the magic fire explosion, that guy turned herself into black mist in time, otherwise she would definitely be seriously injured by me. And I lost a lot of blood and energy. My body functions should be only about half of what they were before, and my strength has seriously declined. If we want to kill her, we must think of a comprehensive plan. Having said that, he summarized, in short, there is no need to tell them about the gods. Just let them take refuge on the shore when the time comes. And as he stood up, and her target is also the rebirth grass, let's make some preparations. Rebirth grass? Let's go back and take it away directly. If she can't find the rebirth grass, she won't harass us again, right? Wrong. If she can't find the rebirth grass, she will first suspect us. And as he didn't agree with this plan at all. If she found that the rebirth grass was missing, she would definitely suspect that it was done by the nearby superpowers, and the two of them would definitely be the primary targets. It's impossible to take the rebirth grass away. She will follow us like a maggot on the tarsal bone until she achieves her goal. And there is not enough time to refine the rebirth grass, so we can only use Zangbar Island as a battlefield and do everything we can to kill her. Chapter 550 Water Clone. Chumashin nodded helplessly. Yes, but if we fight with all our strength, this resort island will probably not be able to be saved, and it will definitely cause panic in the end. No way, it's a helpless move. I have to carve a few magic patterns after I go back, and then you can organize the evacuation of others. I know. Chumashin nodded. I won't let anyone stay, just do it. And as he stood up and walked behind the door, stretched out his hand to open the door, and Fat Tiger and the others fell directly from behind the door. Since they started to talk about business, these guys have been peeping here. However, and as he has made full preparations, and no sound can escape his blockade, so there is no need to worry about their conversation being eavesdropped. Looking at these guys, and as he showed a hypocritical smile. What a coincidence, you came in just after I opened the door. Yes, it's really a coincidence. We suddenly have something to do. Bye. Everyone stood up and left here with a wry smile. It's so damn annoying that we didn't hear anything. Fat Tiger clenched his fists unwillingly. Sunia also agreed. I'm really curious about what they talked about. Shizuka gave up very simply. Forget it, I don't want to peek anymore. I guess they don't want us to hear it. Well, why is this happening? Fat Tiger and Sunia turned their heads at the same time in tacit understanding, and looked at Shizuka with confusion. Don't you understand yet? Yuyuan's ability is not clear for now, but you should know what Dekisugi's ability is. Telekinesis can form a barrier, which means that, if he uses his telekinesis to cover the room during the conversation, we can't hear anything at all. And just now, the two of them seemed to be able to locate each other. They may have detection devices similar to radars. They know our movements very well. After Shizuka finished speaking, she went upstairs. Anyway, I won't waste my time. Just follow their arrangements. Have fun by yourselves. Fat Tiger and Sunia looked at each other for a long time below, and finally lowered their heads helplessly, hearing what she said. Let's not waste our time. Yu and as he closed the door again, and the dark star cloak appeared on his body. I'll go back to replenish my blood and ki first. Be careful. Because he had sufficient blood and ki, he had a few seconds to prepare magic after being possessed, but Dekisugi was different. With his small body, he would be sucked into a mummy in less than a second. Don't worry, I won't be easily tricked again. Dekisugi made a gesture to him that she was wrapped around him. Outside the door, two salted fish who had lost their dreams walked onto the deck to see the scenery. At this moment, Ziofu pointed to his left. Zangba Island is over there. What? Why do I remember it was on the right? Fat Tiger pointed to his right, where there was also a Zangba Island. The two looked at the Zangba Island in the distance, looked at each other again, and wiped their eyes. What's going on? Am I hallucinating after my worldview was overturned? The captain in the cabin was also confused. How could there be two Zangba Islands? Was he also cursed? All crew members listen to orders. Drop anchor and dock now. Go to the room below to find the two yin yang masters. We need help. In the case of an unclear situation, the captain's approach is undoubtedly the safest. After all, judging from the situation just now, this sea area is not as calm as they thought. Then he took out the map and began to observe which Zangba Island was the real one, based on the nearby signs. But when the crew came down, Fat Tiger and Sunia were already knocking on the door. Yu and Azuki, Demission, we need your help here. The door opened, but only Demission came out. What's wrong? I didn't find anything unusual on the seabed. What made you so nervous? Hearing their screams so miserably, he thought there were 7 eels attacking from below, but there was nothing. Hey, why are you alone? Sunia pulled Demission away and looked into the room. Where is Yu and Azuki? Is he scared by the enemy? Sunia sighed helplessly. At least the two had known each other for so long, and he had never seen Yu and Azuki get scared on the battlefield. Stop messing around, Ziofu, let's get down to business. Fat Tiger picked him up and said, we suddenly found two Zangba Islands. They might have been created by the enemy. Izuki walked out of the room quickly, looked in the direction they pointed, and frowned immediately. Indeed, the two islands are almost identical. Should I go over and take a look now, or wait for Deiji to come back? If he went to Zangba Island alone, there would be no superpowers on the ship, and if attacked, there would be no resistance. It was precisely because he was very worried about this that he did not dare to act rashly when his companions had not returned. After hesitating for a while, Zayashin walked into the captain's room. Captain, do you have any way to tell which island is the real one? I'm ashamed to say that I have no way. The captain stood up with sweat all over his head. Except for Zangba Island, there is no sign here that can let me confirm our location. I see. It seems that I can only go and explore the situation first. Izuki turned and left the captain's room. He suddenly had a bold idea. He walked to the edge of the deck, stretched out his hand, and the seawater flew onto the deck under the effect of his mental power. Mr. Izuki, what are you doing? The people next to him ran over to watch. Are you going to use this water to attack the other party? Why are your thoughts so violent? It's not certain whether the other party is an enemy, so don't keep thinking about fighting, okay? Zayashin tried to inject his mental power into the seawater. Remember, fighting is a means to protect yourself, not to provoke disputes. As he spoke, his mental power merged with the seawater. The liquid seemed to be attracted by something and began to gather on the deck into the shape of Zayashin. A few seconds later, a completely water-made Izuki stood in front of everyone and then jumped off the boat. Listen, my water clone is going to explore the two Zangba Islands now. Unless there is something special, don't come to my room to disturb me. After explaining the matter, Izuki turned around and walked back to the room. To manipulate the out-of-body consciousness, you must be wholeheartedly Moreover, this way of behavior can also ensure that the ship returns as soon as possible after encountering danger. Looking at Dekisugi's receding figure, Fat Tiger muttered unwillingly behind him, "We don't have superpowers. How can we cause trouble?" Dekisugi is right. If you, Fat Tiger, had superpowers, everyone would definitely not have an easy time. Shizuka looked at Fat Tiger with some approval, and then pretended to look into the distance. "Nobita, the trees here are already planted. What about the flowers and grass over there? Isn't the speed too slow?" "Don't worry, I not only planted flowers and grass, but also released the mechanical butterfly you gave me." Nobita stretched out his finger, and there was a butterfly on it gently flapping its wings. It was called a mechanical butterfly, but its appearance did not have any mechanical parts, and it looked no different from a real butterfly. On the water surface at the seaside, a human figure condensed from water droplets gradually emerged and walked towards Nobita and Doraemon, who were still playing on the island. The two were talking about the layout of the Jachi island, and suddenly Nobita pointed to the seaside. "Doraemon, look there." Doraemon slowly turned his head following Nobita's hand, and a nearly completely transparent person was slowly walking towards them. Ghost. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.